All right, cool. You guys hear that? Hold on. Yeah, that's squeaky. You hear that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, I gotta oil that bitch. All right. So, welcome everybody to the Snowbirds meeting room. I'm Woodwalker Joe. We got
Did
Shadow
you start
Spectre
it, Joe?
11.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Did you start?
yeah, I started it.
Okay. Because it's buffering.
Let me see. I think you. Well, I think you clicked on the other one.
Oh, shit.
Let me see. Hold on. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Yeah. So sorry for the confusion. I stopped it out of. I kind of panicked because I thought it was streaming to a different YouTube channel, and then realized we were good. So I had to restart the stream. But we're good now. So
Hey, I see it.
welcome everybody to the Snowbirds meeting room. I'm Voidwalker Joe. We got Shadow Spectre 11. We got Zook Zim and me, and then our special guest for this episode is Whole Armor. So, Whole Armor, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit? Talk, kind of get everybody up to speed of, how did you get into Star Citizen? Maybe a little bit about your org.
Right. Yeah. I'm Whole Armor, and
Turn up your mic a bit.
Yeah, turn it up some more.
okay.
Still a little low.
Okay, how's that?
It's about the same.
Still low.
Yeah, it's about the same.
I can't.
Maybe you need to boost him, Joe.
Let me see. Hold on. Let me see what I could do here.
I got user volume. I'm bringing him up.
Try it. Go ahead.
Test it. 1, 2, 3.
A little bit louder.
It's all the way up.
How's that?
It's a little better. A little better. Maybe just yell. Yell at the top of your lungs.
I got him up to 188% right now. So
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm Whole Armor.
better.
I've been following Star Citizen ever since 2012. I backed and pledged Star Citizen in 2013. I've been in various organizations, and I'm part of the Living Tribunal organization currently, and I am a liaison working with the Snowbirds organization to form coalitions and coalitions with other organizations that are small with personnel.
All right. Awesome. All right. Awesome. Now, today's episode, we got a lot to talk about. There's a lot has been happening recently over the last week or so. So we have CON42, which is a player held event in Germany, and CIG had a panel there, a little bit more than an hour-long panel, which was really good. They answered some questions that they don't really talk about too often, and we never really had context for some of these things until now. So we kind of get a little bit of a clear picture of what their mindset is for certain things. So we'll go over that. There's the SCL on Friday, which had Ed and Elliot, which are lead designers from the mission features team. So we'll go through a little bit of that, and also we have a lot of leaks involving Invictus and some of the ships around it, and 319, how some of the missions are going to go. So there's some cool stuff there. Some fun speculation stuff there. So
Well, also, Joe, in that SCL, we had one of the people, I don't know his name, but one person that worked on building blocks
Bones,
for
right?
the
Yeah.
interfaces,
Yeah.
and that was interesting.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
But I'm sorry, didn't mean to.
No. It's good. It's good. It's good. You're fine. Yeah, Bones. He was on the SCL too. I actually forgot about that. He did bring up some pretty cool stuff. All right, so we're gonna start with CON42. But if anybody coming into the chat wants to ask us any questions, feel free. We will get to them whenever we can. And yeah, so CON42. I'm gonna go down a kind of a list of some of the talking points. There's they talked about missions. So the mission content team right now is mainly focused on pyro missions. And once they're done, they said that one of the things that they're going to be focusing on right after Pyro is trade missions in Stanton. So actual missions regarding trade. So that's going to be really cool. Also, kind of more into trading. They said that with 319, there's going to be a lot of commodity tweaks that'll supposedly improve commodities. So we'll have to. They didn't go into detail or anything like that, but that's obviously a good thing because we haven't had anything happen with the commodities trading at all for so long. I think people have been waiting for that. They brought up they brought up stolen goods and possibly being able to I guess turn them into I'm trying to think of the wording, make them clean again so they're not illegal, so you could actually sell them legally, turn them from illegal goods to something that's able to be like in a shop or anything like that, or like the
smuggling.
Yes, yeah. Let's see. They said that they're going to make purpose-built boxes with gun racks in them, and also general purpose boxes that you can buy, and you can actually they want to make it so you can label your containers. So just like in any other crafting game where you're going to actually be able to label your containers. That's a massive thing, right? Just to be able to put your stuff in it.
Okay, label those, but they can't get the ships to be named.
Okay. This stuff is still a ways out. This stuff is still a ways out, just like ship names, right? Okay. So it's not like it's coming now, all right? The stuff they're talking about, we don't know when it's going to happen, right? But this is just their intentions of where they want things to be. And unless we specifically say, like when I was talking about the mission team, content team, mainly focusing on pyro missions, and they said after they'll go right into trading missions. Unless it's like worded like that, then just take it as we don't know yet when it'll come. Something cool I really like to hear was they talked about air and ventilation systems and the ability to sell air to refineries and others.
Now that is interesting.
Yeah.
Because I'm just... Normally, you would have to have a atmospheric I can't think of the name of it, but it's a recycling plant where it scrubs the oxygen to recirculate back into the station. And then you can take some of that and siphon it off and sell, right? Is that what they're talking about?
They didn't go into it, so we don't know yet. They just said being able to trade air with refineries and other people. So
okay,
they just briefly mentioned it.
But it is a possibility.
Let's speculate a little bit here.
Sure, go ahead.
What I hear from that is...
You're kind of low, Whole Armor.
Okay. What I hear from that is uninhabitable lack of oxygen. So you will have to have tanks, oxygen tanks, or being able to salvage out in space in EVA for long periods of time and have to have a oxygen tank instead of just having it being simulated. You breathing air through your suit, which really doesn't make sense because your suit only can hold so much air before you reach asphyxiation.
I always thought it was kind of a weird thing that you would have an O2 pen that you just stab into yourself, and all of a sudden you have air. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. That's not that far off, and I'll say that for a couple of reasons. Like, one, there are CO2 scrubbers, so that's a real thing. But you still need to have additional oxygen to replace that CO2 with, or the air will still be unbreathable. You still have to have the oxygen. You don't recycle the air and create oxygen, right? The only way to recycle, quote unquote, recycle the air that we have today is essentially some kind of plant life that produces the oxygen, right? That takes the CO2 in and it produces oxygen. So the idea of selling a station, as cargo, oxygen containers or massive oxygen tanks is not that crazy.
No.
We already have, that they're planning on having oxygen tanks on ships. They're planning to have oxygen tanks of some sort on stations.
Fire hydrants.
Fire hydrants is another one of those situations that, the oxygen levels, that goes back and towards the resources gameplay that they keep talking about over and over again, oxygen being one of those. And so the idea of a station who is heavily busy, if they're going through a gold rush, if they're just game buster with trade, and they're having a lot of traffic come through, they're going to have people opening up elevators into space. It's going to be using a little bit of oxygen every single time someone breathes, and the faster, busier, and the more profitable the station is, the more they're going to need oxygen. So it makes perfect sense that these stations would want to buy oxygen, and they want to buy them off traders.
And it means that ships, they're going to have limited amount of oxygen, so you're going to have to keep that up. And same thing for outposts and stuff like that. And then I want to mention that the Endeavor has the greenhouses, so I imagine you're going to be able to take the oxygen that is created from those and possibly sell it, hopefully. I would think, at least. Not just harvesting, from it. At least the crops and stuff like that, but the actual oxygen.
Yeah, you're not just harvesting food, you're harvesting oxygen. I mean...
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's where... Okay. We know that water contains oxygen, right? So, this is where a recycling plant would make sense. I mean, I don't know all the particulars because I'm not a scientist. All right. But a water collection plant can strip the oxygen away from that. And then you have hydrogen, which could become hydrogen fuel. So
the gases, any of the gases from the atmosphere of the planets, like think about all this on Orson.
So that's how they did the Apollo missions. They had super chilled water, and that they would send through basically an electric system. I don't want to get too detailed into it, but basically they would have two components in there. They would send electric current through it, and it would separate the hydrogen from the oxygen, and it would have oxygen go one way, hydrogen go the other way, and one would turn into fuel, and one would turn into breathable air. And that was how they carried their oxygen into space. Oxygen is very, very flammable.
I
do believe helium. I do believe not helium. Hydrogen, I believe, is very flammable. So they've basically stored it as super cool water, or some form like that.
Okay.
Yeah. They literally did, and they literally, whenever they needed to run through it, they would have to put the power into the water to separate the two to create what they needed. That means if you lose power, you lose the ability to create oxygen. You lose the ability to create fuel.
I mean, I'm going to go back in history a bit. Apollo 1, they were on the pad doing tests, okay? And the cabin was full of pure oxygen and a fire, right? An electrical short started a fire and it killed the 3 astronauts inside. It imploded.
Mm.
And they couldn't get out because the hatch wasn't set up with explosive bolts, okay, to open the hatch, and that's how they died.
Oh wow!
And so it was a big setback for the Apollo program because of that problem. And now, since we're in space flight all the time, could you, and with the components that they're talking about, with component management and all like that, causes a fire, it'll run rampant through that ship. So everybody complains about all the doors in the Crusader ships. Now you know why.
Everything's compartmentalized. It's the same thing on a naval ship. You know, it's to keep water from breaching other parts of the ship. So yeah,
exactly,
makes sense.
So be grateful for them doing this now.
The response times of the doors can be ramped up a little bit, though. I'll say that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But this is why they're in there for that purpose. It's compartmentalized. If there's look at the Hercules. How many doors does it take to get to the bridge? Okay? But you've got components all along that corridor. If one of those sparks, right?
Mm-hmm.
That section is going to be closed off. And the fire is going to burn itself out once it runs out of oxygen. You open that door and it's still smoldering, you're going to start to fire in the next room because it's got something to catch on to. So in other words, a backdraft.
We'll see how they do it. We'll see how they. I don't know if it'll get that in depth, but we'll see.
But it's.
I mean, I guess the point I was driving at is it's not unreasonable to have a station need additional tanks of oxygen for its own use, for selling to other ships that need to refill. It's just another resource that the resource management system is planning on managing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's another commodity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry to go on a tangent on that, but it's something that came to my head.
This is what this whole thing is, supposed to be for. So we're supposed to have fun when we talk about this stuff. And I something along with that, CIG. Something I keep hearing them repeat throughout time is moisture farms. They love to talk about moisture farms. So I imagine we're going to see something like that.
Well, we see them on Gillette Family Farms. We see it on Damar.
They're actually a thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess I never really paid attention to see what those actually were. I've noticed like crops and stuff there, but yeah.
But I mean, they're creating oxygen and they're creating moisture inside of those enclosures. So, yeah.
All right. So, moving on from that. Let's see. Okay, so salvage. They talked a little bit about salvage. 319. We're gonna have components that are gonna be gone from certain components gone from shops, and we talked about this a little bit before the podcast. We had a little bit of a discussion. So some components are going to be gone from shops and placed in certain salvage contract missions, right? So you're going to go there, and maybe it'll have military components that you can't buy in a shop somewhere anymore. So you're going to be able to get some really good components off of that salvage on top of the RMC that you salvage. And then they also brought up that there's a possibility of the cargo hold being full. And this is also confirmed by some people in Evocati that was leaked along with all the rest of the leaks. So that's really cool to hear about. And if you guys want to bring up your thoughts that we talked about earlier about, some components leaving the shops and how you feel about it.
Mind if I cover this one?
Yeah,
Joe?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was actually kind of expecting this, to be completely honest with you. It did the same thing with sniper rifles, rail guns, and the rest of it.
Anything you could buy, I knew that at some point they were going to end up, some of it is going to be out there.
The higher end stuff that would be more, I guess you'd say, traditionally military or special ops, if you will, generally isn't sold in Walmarts, right? Regardless of whether you want it or not, doesn't matter. It's not sold there. So stealth components, military components, maybe even to some extent industrial components, they're not sold at your local store. They're just not. And so there's no reason that they would be at the local dumpster depot, or they would have military components. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
If you go kill a military ship, if you go kill a UEE ship, that thing probably has military components. That's your source of military hardware. If you go kill a criminal gang that smuggles military hardware, then that may have military hardware. Just like we have to go get railguns, and just like we have to go get sniper rifles now, we're going to have to go in and get those military stealth and probably industrial hardware. It's just part of life in the verse, and I think it was always intended to be that way. But I do want to remind people, with a slight tangent, that there is not going to be a best hardware. Right now there is, but there's not going to be a best hardware. Military components, the downside of military components is not in the game yet. So the fact that it wears out very, very quickly, it has high maintenance cost, that's not in the game yet. Once that gets in the game, there's going to be a lot of people, and a lot of my ships, that I will not want military components on my ships. I have large-scale trading ships that I do not want to have military hardware on those ships. So this is very much these parts are going to become more specialized and more use case centric. So this makes sense. I think they're bringing in wear and tear pretty soon too. So,
but that's a good thing.
Yes, I agree.
And I've been thinking about what we talked about earlier about this, and to be totally fair and honest, if I was flying an M2, which is a military transport ship, I would want military parts in it. Okay? An A2, I would want military parts in it. In the C2, when it comes time for this, I would want the industrial or civilian parts.
It depends on what you're going to use that ship for, because you can have the C2 and not use it for trading, like
exactly.
If something that people are going to be doing too is using it as, they're going to want a certain ship to use it as, like, to trick people into thinking it's going to, currently being used for something,
Well,
so at first glance, maybe it looks like you're trading something when you're not. Maybe you got nefarious intentions, and you're just using that silhouette of that ship to trick other people.
Yeah. But, I mean, me being me, okay? My fighters that are basically my military ships are going to have top-notch stuff in it. Okay? My trading ships, they may go to civilian or industrial. It all depends on what you're going to use the ship for. And this is where Zook is saying, and it makes perfect sense because I don't want to. I don't want my money making ship where I'm going to be, running, wearing my parts out so quickly. That one, I want to have some longevity for it. And when I do have a part that I need, I can get something. I don't have to go hunting for a super high grade part to bring that ship up to standards that I want. I want to be able to go and buy those parts without having to hunt for them. Now, for my military grade ships, that's where it makes a difference. And Zook, I totally agree with you on this, and Joe, I agree with you on this as well. It makes sense. It does.
So another thing is the tuning for engineers.
Yeah.
There's going to be situations where maybe you realize you can tweak a civilian grade thing, and maybe you would want that on your military ship for maybe, who knows.
Yeah. I mean, it all depends on what you want. It all depends on what you want to do. But the main thing is, this is where it's becoming a a game where you're going to have to search for what you want, for the best things. And I mean, you take those suckers back and you put them in local inventory so they don't get lost. And when you need them, you need them. You know, that that's just how I see it at this point.
We don't know what components they're going to throw out there, out of the
No,
shops, and I'm
we
sure it's
don't.
going to change several times throughout the future. So we'll just have to
Yeah,
see what they do.
yeah, but we don't know. But I'm just throwing that out there.
Mhm.
This is something that I see that could possibly happen. And for those traders out there, for those industrial uh, players, this is something that they got to think about. Are you going to put military grade stuff in your ships and then have it wear out to the point where you can't get another one? Then you're going to have to downgrade. You've got to be able to balance everything out so you can get the job done. And if you find something better, then go along with that. But you have to keep upgrading the ship to make it um, equal to what you're putting in it. This is the thing. Whole armor, you got something.
Yeah, I just want to, as we want to see what it's translate to, right? What this is translating to. It's not just going to be as easy as upgrading components, in your ship. The whole purpose of this is to understand the risk factor that they're getting ready to implement in the game that players are going to have to deal with getting the components, whether it fits a military or not. That's what I'm hearing. Not so much about the components themselves, but the gameplay implementations behind finding what you're looking for to upgrade your ship.
Yeah.
Because you're
And
going to want to sell them.
right.
If
Yeah.
it turns out something you don't want, you're just going to sell them, make the money, and then
Yeah.
keep going.
And
Mhm.
see,
You don't.
this is what excites me is you as a character will be putting yourself at risk out in the verse to find what you're looking for. That's the intriguing thing to me.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, there's always going to be risk for what you do.
well, I will say this much. I think it's not just the risk factor. It encourages people to play together. I think that's probably the biggest thing. You don't want to now with that being the case. Hang on a second.
Like
Little Zook.
What's he got to say? I want to hear his opinion.
What do you say about Star Citizen, Tyler? You're on YouTube right now.
Good point. Good point, fair sir.
I'll be right back, guys. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good, man. Go ahead.
You're good.
But something I want to throw in there is that right now what we do, like after a wipe with the org, is everybody, everybody's favorite thing is to go to like a bunker because they know that's a good spot to get weapons and armor and all that good stuff, right? Attachments. And along with that, you're going to have another group of people that maybe for the org, you go to some of these salvage contracts, you're going to get components and, you're going to start salvaging, making money, and maybe distributing that money to some of your org members to give them a better start. So, yeah, there's going to be a checklist of things people are going to want to do with certain changes that they make.
But this is where
I don't think it's just gonna be just salvageable. I think if, like, for example, like if I want the XO1 drive on my Corsair, right, and if I can find out what has it and who has it, I want to be able to fight them to get it.
Okay.
I want to be able to put my character on the line to get it. That's the type of gameplay I'm looking for. Well, that's what I see when I read that statement.
They did bring up that there are going to be contract missions that you're going to accept where it's going to be multiple people knowing about it, and you're going to have to fight over it. Like, the intention is to salvage, but it's up to you whether you want to fight for it or work together. More often than not, I think since people don't really trust each other that much, it's going to end up being a PvP thing.
Well,
I mean, I do want to bring up one thing though, real quick, guys. Back to the point that I was starting. This is mainly intended to bring people together. Now there's so much more to killing a bounty, to clearing out an enemy, to finding a ship, to clearing out the Reclaimer. Like the Reclaimer mission, the Black Kite. Now you can not only get that, clear it out, salvage it. There are some massive, very expensive parts on board that Black Kite mission. Even if you don't want to use it, you're pulling it out.
Mm-hmm.
So this encourages you to go out bounty hunting, not just by yourself, not just in an eclipse and get that 25,000 for that ERT target, but to have a salvaging crew, salvage that hammerhead, strip its parts, strip its weapons, right? It's a bunch of rhinos that can go on a lot of different ships, right? There's a lot of salvage on that wreck that an org can use. A lot of profit to be had on that wreck that an org can use. You could spend an entire night just doing 2 or 3 wrecks, and the org could make bank, right? Could really make a lot of money, have a lot of materials to really give to their org members, right? And goes further than that. I mean, for example, one of those turrets can completely arm a saber.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
So, or a Gladius or any of the above, right? So it can. If you're looking to give an org heads up, that's a reason to fly with the org. That's a reason to go bounty hunting with the org.
Yep.
Now, even if the Eclipse is moving on to the next target, that org is sitting there, scraping, pulling the parts out, having a cargo ship to move it back.
But this is where the main thing of Star Citizen is, and this is where they're pushing it, is multiplayer gameplay. You can't go out and I mean, okay, I'm going to say it, and I'm just going to say it. Yes, Joe. And yes, Zook. The Polaris. One beautiful ship. That is my ultimate.
Which they're working on.
Yes.
Currently.
It is my ultimate. And that ship holds 26 people. Okay. But with that, when I go out and say I go out and do I have a PvP encounter. Okay? I'm going to call the salvage crew. Right? I'm going to call the salvage crew. Come suck this up after I get done. And we'll be here to protect you while you're doing that. Okay? So they can come in with the Reclaimer. They can come in with the Vultures. clear the place out, and do whatever we got to do, and go home.
I do want to, let's do the math on that for a second, right? Let's say we do an ERT target as a properly as a work, right? And let's say we keep the parts, we sell all the parts to sell the scrap. You get 25,000 for the initial kill. You can get easily 500,000 for RMC off the whole. You can, how much does it cost to kit out a hammerhead? It costs around 750,000 to kit out a hammerhead military grade A, which a lot of these NPCs do have, right? Especially these higher end NPCs, they do have that. So even if you get half that back, let's say you get half, you don't get the full value because you're selling it back. You only get half of it, right?
Yeah.
The worst case scenario, when we're talking about weapons, for example, it's generally about half. Worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Okay, 750,000. Cut that in half. What's that come to? That comes about 300-ish, 350,000, 375,000. So you combine 500,000 plus, 350, 375, right? Plus the credits for actually killing the thing, plus selling parts for the weapons that you don't have to buy them initially, which is going to be another couple hundred, right? One ERT could, with the right organization, working together, net an org 1 million AUEC.
Yeah.
Or pretty damn close.
Yeah.
Right? And that's worst case scenario. If those supplies are in short and high demand, where maybe you get paid 75%, you might be able to get more. Right? That potential is there. And if you're not working together, if you're not working with an org, if you're a solo player, yeah, you can get 25,000 to move on. But now there's maybe an incentive for you to sell that wreck, to let other people know about that wreck, for you to interact with the community.
But
this is what it's for me. I feel like this is what they're intended for purposes.
But the possibility is there. Okay. What I was just saying was, if you're doing it as an org thing, and somebody goes into battle, okay, and it could be a org battle, right, where there's a lot of salvage going on, even if some of the org members get wasted, okay, those ships can be salvaged. The enemy ships can be salvaged. So that's where your salvage crew comes in. Okay, we're gonna you're gonna clean the place out. I mean, it's a possibility. It's just something that I'm throwing out there.
There's also, not just with an org. If you're by yourself, maybe you're doing a bounty, and let's say you got damaged. You damaged your wing, and maybe your right gun is gone, right? Your right laser repeater's gone. You can, if you kill your enemy, you can go down, use your multi-tool, take RMC from his ship, repair your ship, and then, because your laser repeater's gone, you can potentially take his components, put them on your ship right then and there, and also his weapon, and fly off, all repaired and ready to go.
Yeah, but we're talking about multiplayer at this point in time. Solo player, yeah.
I'm saying you can do both. You can do both right now.
You can do both
with this change.
You can do both, right? So it goes either way. But I'm talking about organization player. This is how you can make AUEC, and potentially, once we get to a certain point, UEC. So a future thing, but this is what we have to work with now, and this is what we're going to deal with.
Can I ask a question on that?
Shoot.
Because I like your idea of where you're going, but I want to kind of specify to a particular topic. If we are salvaging all of our weapons, if we are salvaging all of our components, ship components, missiles potentially, if we're salvaging all of this, right? What are we going to spend our AUEC on?
Who knows?
You're not gonna want to salvage all the time like
No.
that. You know, there's people
But-
who
No, I
just
mean-
aren't into it. Period. And
Yeah.
there's gonna be other avenues for that.
But
I mean, I'll still buy Six Farmer if I want a complete set or whatever like that. But like, generally speaking, large ticket items. What do you think we're going to spend our AUEC on?
But the thing is, Zook, this is where we have been begging for.
We just have ships
Halves.
right now. That's it.
Yeah, but we're begging for
Just
halves.
ships.
We are also going to have facilities where an org has to pay rent to do things. This is where the purpose of going out to do a job is going to make a difference. We're not there yet.
Yeah,
But
we're
once
a
we-
ways away.
But once we get there, this is where it's going to make the big difference, where the
Mhm.
orgs are going to make money so they can have a facility to have, ships that are just for the org, not personal. You know what I'm saying?
And you're gonna have
Yeah.
org owned marketplaces too. So
Yeah.
and then you're
mean-
gonna be able to deal with orgs that strictly salvage. So it doesn't have to be anybody in your org that salvages, themselves. But you can go to another org. Maybe there's a player run marketplace or something like that, where you can go visit and actually buy the components that they've salvaged off of,
Okay.
or tweak
This is
components.
where the BMM comes in.
And the Kraken.
Yeah, the privateer. So we're talking way ahead of the game, but those are where the possibilities are.
Mhm.
So
even in the short term,
go ahead.
with even within the short term, you'll still be able to spend your alpha UEC on components. You have your community chat right there in game. If you get wind that a particular player has a few weapons or a few components that you're looking for that will fit your ship, you can send that person some money and buy that component off of them.
Right.
And I brought up before the podcast too that something I implemented in my org Discord channel is a way where you can I made a marketplace out of threads where you can post a picture, post the price, or if you're just giving it away to anybody in the org, you can post it, put a description, say, hey, this is what the item is. If there's anything that you made changes to, you make put the description in there, and then players in the org, they see these postings come up and they can reply, and then in game they can meet up and do what they got to do. So that's
But also too, and I'm not trying to stomp on you, Joe. With that marketplace, somebody says, okay, I would like to have this weapon and I'm willing to pay a certain amount for it. That person has a contract. They go out and do that and get that thing, and then they bring it back and say, here, I got your weapon. Or I've got this. This is where the interaction of the organization comes into play, even though it's not fully in the game. This is something that people can do to interact with each other. And I'm all for that. I think that's pretty cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's times I don't want to go to a bunker and risk my life. Okay. If I pay them enough for the risk that they're taking and the weapon itself, I'm going to pay double.
Sure. Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
know?
That's the great
That was
thing.
kind of
That's the great
that was
thing.
kind of my point that I was driving at. Like it's the orgs buying stuff from other orgs, or you buying it from within your org, like you're doing with Joe. with your store. That's kind of what I was driving at. Like that's. I don't think they want to. I think they don't want to make it only via NPC. I think they want to
no.
really encourage player via, not just player v player. This is player working with player actions.
Yeah,
and this is the best part.
Yeah.
The best part of Star Citizen is the community and the things that they come up with for the sandbox is mind blowing, you know. And then the fact that CIG, they work with all these other player driven websites and you know, things that the community comes up with. It's the best part about Star Citizen.
Whole Armor, your thought?
When that's the key word, sandbox. When you have player to player interaction, and when there's a monetary transaction that's involved, I think in the world of Star Citizen, it's fair game. Fair game. Because hey, you got the component that I want. I'm bringing you money. You show up with said component. I'm taking said component, and I'm keeping my money.
Well, you're talking. Okay, that's different.
Well, I'm saying.
I mean, if you do that inside of your own org, you're going to get kicked out of your org really fast.
No. Because you'll do business with anybody. You can do business with anybody.
You can.
That doesn't mean you will.
That is a free agent.
And we should. Because you're going to have people that's going to be inside the Star Citizen in the verse that's going to be selling their components and weapons directly to the people that's in their server.
Okay.
And that not just org on org transactional, not just org members transactional, but people from other organizations that along with also. You have to take the eat of the whole roll.
Yeah, and there will be
good. That's good.
There will be orgs selling to other orgs, and there'll be individuals selling to other individuals. There is, I believe, right now a very in-depth like sell structure on Reddit and other Discords where people are selling helmets and armor pieces that are rare. So that's already a thing. But even on these places, there is some modicum of a reputation piece there. Whereas like, well, yeah, you can show up and you can take the money and then not give the guy the goods or kill him, but that's gonna be very hard to do later business. And I think people really underestimate that.
The reason why I bring that up is because they talked about the back alley deals earlier on. And I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to set up a meeting on Area 18 with a player I don't even know in the back alley. You know, I got my guy with me. I'm wearing my black trench coat, got my dark sunglasses on.
Grim Hex, man. You gonna be at Grim Hex.
All right, you criminal.
Well, okay.
I want to be able to roll up like Morpheus in the Matrix.
Well, they.
I'm just saying, Ninetales is probably going to pay good money for this stuff.
Yeah.
And that actually brings up a question I'm going to be asking earlier. We're going to be going into reputation and what that means for the different factions and how you interact with them. So,
it's coming.
Yeah, I'll bring that up later. But all right, well. Let's we spent a lot of time on that one. I didn't realize that was going to take a long time. But okay, moving on. They talked a little bit of org stuff, and this particular thing might actually bring up a little drama here. CIG said that the idea of tax rates for orgs is something they're looking for different I guess solutions to something like that, right? Like they're looking into the different ideas that you could possibly implement for orgs, and it was brought up, and they said it was interesting. So it doesn't mean they're going to do it, but yeah, I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on taxes and orgs. Should they do it or should they not do it?
No.
I don't
So,
agree either. I guess it depends, right? But you could probably implement it in such a way that it might work.
You could implement it, and you have an option as org leader, Joe. You and me and Zook. Okay, we have the option to do that, but to me, okay, I won't do it. The reason why, say somebody takes a break, okay, they can be gone for a year or more. Okay, I'm not going to charge somebody tax on every time there's a wipe and they lose their AUEC or UEC,
This
and they're not playing.
Well, Shadow, if
I'm
tax,
just saying.
well, hold on. If taxes actually become a thing, it'll be integrated within the game. So if they take a break, they're not going to be paying taxes. So it's not, these kind of things are not going to be managed, or they shouldn't have to be managed out of the game on a spreadsheet where you're, sitting there, who played today? Who played this week?
Right.
You're not going to have to do that. It's going to be an actual implementation somehow within the game where
within the game.
Yeah.
I get that. I don't want my org to feel that they're getting pressured into something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
I want my org to feel that it's voluntary to put into a bank that is org owned, not my account. That's it.
Well,
that's an org.
Org.
Hang on.
That will be
There's a couple of
by you.
Go ahead, Oliver.
I wouldn't control it. I don't want to control it.
Now, I'm wanted to get to this topic right here because this goes all the way back in the day when organizations was being formed. This was one of the things that the older, bigger organizations was asking for. You see, Now they did wanted this to be implemented inside the game, so where people wouldn't have to sit around on a spreadsheet and try to tally up whether or not somebody's been playing or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that money was supposed to go to the betterment of the entire org, so the org can have paid dues from their members to be able to manage and operate the capital ships, and also
capital ships we don't have.
Rich, we don't have, but these are things that they had pitched early on, like the right.
So
go ahead.
I do want to cut in here for a moment here. They're still at the early stages on deciding how they're going to do it.
Yes.
Which is the one thing I keep in mind here, because we're talking about whether we should or should not tax our orgs, and that should be left up to the individuals, each individual org. Some orgs, it would be a good idea to tax the org. Some orgs, it would be a very bad idea to tax the org.
Right.
I know I'm not going to be taxing my org. Shadow's not. Joe's not. I don't know if you are yet or not, Holhammer. But I still want them to build it into the game, because some of them will. And here's the thing: what I would like to see is there to be a slider, a 0% to 100% tax slider. That way, if you don't want to tax your guys, you can slide that thing down to 0, and you get what you want, and the taxers get what they want. Then, on top of that, I want to be able to say, is it percent coming in, or is it like a membership thing where you have to pay so much per month regardless if you're playing or not? I want that to be a drop-down option. I want that to be a option that the orgs can choose to do.
Stay on this topic for a minute. I got to go to the head. Be right back.
Gotcha that.
Something I want to.
So I still want that to be an option for the orgs going forwards.
Yeah.
And this is about, I keep going back into other shows about building tools. I want them to be able to build the tools to make every org have the option. I want there to be an org bank account, not a org leader's bank account like they were saying. And Ranish, I'm never going to pay you. That's not going to happen. Forget it. So I would like there to be an org bank account that then from that account we use to fund and pay for like whole numbers set your capital ships, your larger ships, your company ships. If we're always taking out, one of my good officers, Captain Trips, if we're always taking out his capital ship as the org, I'm going to want to help pay for that ship with the org money. And I would personally, I want org money if and when we have it to be voluntarily given. But that's how I want my org to be ran. Not all of them want to run that way. So I feel like in this context, in this show, having the conversation and saying there shouldn't be a taxes, there shouldn't be the tax. I was like, whoa, there should be a tax tool. You just should also have the ability to tend it to 0%.
And so I want to add to that. The Gaming Tribunal was saying pretty much exactly what I was thinking in my head. Was he was saying that the taxes would be attached to certain contracts or like jobs that you would take on, in the game. So if you're playing solo and you're not attached to an org or affiliated with an org, then you wouldn't get taxed in org tax, right? For whatever job or contract. But if you are, it would notice that it would see your rep, and maybe based on your rep and how much that faction or group, has control over the contract or job, it would also facilitate a certain amount of tax that would go to the org, and then you'd be able to decide, is it worth it? Maybe the tax is different depending on the job, and maybe even different depending on the kind of org that you're in. And
I also would like to be able to finish my thought too.
Go ahead, hold on. Go ahead.
I was trying to give a reason to why the tax thing would be viable, because this is something that has been established long time ago, and these discussions have been brought up long time ago. Like everything that we want to have with the taxes being said today is what the older players have been asking for since the beginning. How do the players pay their dues into the organization so that it wouldn't be so it can be fair, right? And so one of the things that they was talking about was having factory nodes where organizations can own their own companies within side of the game, where players can work for said company and then they can get the tax that way.
That's pretty cool. I like it.
Give me a sec. I'm just going to acknowledge people in the chat. Hey, Gaming Tribunal, welcome. Barnesh, welcome. Everett, welcome. And Melipan, welcome.
Welcome, Zook Zemimi.
Yeah, Zook. As far as an organization, my organization deals with transport and medical rescue. Okay. And I just feel that when I get a contract to transport or do cargo runs where we're being paid to do what we need to do, and once the job's completed, the majority of the money goes to the organization bank. The pilot and the crew and the escorts that do it get a percentage of that payout. Now, I know it's not going to be a whole lot because we're going to have to go through tier 0, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 to get better jobs. Okay? But the reputation is going to be there. But this is how I feel that it's going to have to work just on my organization, because I know when when those come out, I'm going to be doing a hell of a lot of them to build a reputation so I can get the better stuff, so I can put the majority of my AUEC or UEC into that fund to fund my organization. I don't care about all the money. Okay? All I'm doing is helping my org get better ships so we can do our job. That's how I see it.
All right.
Do
I-
y'all remember when they talked about the organization locations that they're going to be building inside of the game?
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah. See, now think of it like this, right? So you have an organization said location that you can go to register your organization, and you got your players and stuff like that, right? And you create some form of an event where you're trying to get a capital ship to do something large in the game, but you don't have enough money as far as your members, between your members, right? And everybody on an individual level is out there doing missions and doing jobs or whatever, and they got a centralized location inside the game where individual players could come in and put into the pot, where they go into the kiosk, right? And they use the transaction tool from the mobile glass or how they may do it to put funds in.
Okay.
Could you do that?
That I want it to be, personally, I want it to be a voluntary thing, because new players are going to come in and they're not going to have a whole lot of money to work.
Well, when they're doing missions, right? Well, so you got this area, right? You're part of an organization. You got this area. Everybody is making money, and the organization leaders can dictate how much the tax could be. It can be 1 AUEC. It could be 10 AUEC.
Right.
You know,
It shouldn't.
I would be an
Go Zoo.
So I completely with you, Holarm. I agree with you. That should be one of the options. What I want to see is this just being one of the options. That's what I was trying to drive it earlier. There needs to be some way or a good swath of options that any org can choose from to raise their funds. If you want to open it up for donations only, leave it for donations only. If you want to put a tax, put the tax to wherever you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to put the tax to be a percentage of earns or a percentage of a certain amount per month or per week? Or I would want that to be an option, because some orgs see that as a good thing. There are orgs out there who value participation, and they want you to basically pay to part of it. And if you're not paying, you're not serious, and they want to get rid of you.
Is the word tax has a negative connotation to it?
To an extent, you're right. Tax isn't the proper term. If you want to get technical,
okay,
because
we're talking government. Okay, they take their money out of our paychecks anyway. I don't deal with it.
It's not the same thing.
I'm joking.
But I think I want them to have all these different options, and then just give us the tool and let the orgs decide how they want to run their orgs. I want these options in games. Right. Now, beyond that, what I find more interesting isn't just the tax system, but the reputation system. Like Joe briefly mentioned it earlier about Shadow mentioned earlier about your reputation with the org. Okay, what is the org's reputation with, say, Twitch? What is the org's reputation with the What is the org's reputation with so and so? That's one of the things that at least my org, that I would really care a lot about, is if there is somebody who's pissing off an organization that we're trying to work with, I will kick them out of the org, because they're going to make it harder for our other org members to get jobs, get missions, get the better pay, get access to those UGFs that we talked about before,
Agreed.
right? Like, and here's the thing: you could join an org, potentially. You could join an org, and all of a sudden, a lot of doors are opened just because you're part of that org.
Yeah.
Right. Just
also,
because that group has worked with that org before.
Also, hold on.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
What does it mean for your organization if I know you said you wouldn't want to do it, but what would it mean if every member in your organization paid a tax? What would that mean for your organization overall?
Depends
on what the organization is trying to do. You could probably.
I have already had a consensus. I've already had a consensus. Okay. This came up in a Spectrum post. Okay. And some people were for some of the ideas, and a lot of people were against the tax. And when I saw it, I was against the tax part. I want this organization to be a family where we put everything together. And then when it comes time for a ship to be bought that is going to be an organization ship, not just one person, but an organization ship. That ship is shared with everybody. But and everybody went along with this. You wreck it, you claim it, and you gotta pay for it. Okay.
What if your organization could participate in certain events if your members are not pitching in to get the organization participate?
It's part of real life. It's part of real life.
You just don't do it.
You can't do it.
I personally, I think we should be able to have it both ways. I think in game you should be able to have the tools where if you wanted to implement it, kind of like what we were talking about earlier, maybe having a centralized location where you can register your org and then maybe set that up. I think that should be an option. And then also for Shadow, I believe it's important to have that option because you should be able to run your org how you want to run it. If you don't want to do a tax, I don't think you should have to be, before the game shouldn't have to force you to do it unless, maybe there are certain things in game you wouldn't be able to do if you didn't have the tax. And that's just how it is if you want to run an org that way, So yeah. I think you should. There's ways to be able to have both, but there's pros and cons to both sides as well, just like anything else in the game.
Just like this. Okay. Say there is a huge field of salvage, right? If we have enough donated money to buy that contract, we go do it. We take it and we go for it. Okay? If not, we can't do it because we don't have the money to buy that contract. We don't do it.
Right. But see, all you just did was substitute the word tax with donation. That's the same thing.
It's the same thing, but it's voluntary. It's not an involuntary thing where it's subtracted.
Well, I would like to clarify a couple of things. The reason why, and the only thing I'm going to mention it, I'm going to say it, I'm going to drop it, I'm not going to argue with it again.
Go ahead.
A membership, a quote unquote tax for an org, isn't really truly a tax. It's a membership fee, right? And a tax is a tax because you don't have an option to opt out. You can't unsubscribe. You can't leave. In an organization, in a membership, you can say, I am quitting the org. I'm gone. See me later. I think your membership fee is too high. Moving on, right? It's a membership fee. Now, there is a difference. I wanted to defend Shadow for a second.
But
there's a difference.
They only get their membership fee back.
There is a difference between a membership fee, right, and a donation, because one is required upon being a member, and one is given voluntarily even if you're even if you're a member, if you choose not to, you don't have to, and you can still remain a member.
Mhm. Mhm.
It is very little difference, but there is a distinction.
Yes. Yes.
There
And that goes into how the org wants to run themselves.
Yes.
now also another thing on this topic that is happening right now is membership fees in real world for Discord servers to join an org, specific org. There's some of the orgs are actually charging their members to have a subscription fee for their Discord server to be in that org. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And that funds whatever, that goes to the person running it. And I don't know what they're using the money for. But they're doing that right now. And I even saw a Reddit post not too long ago, maybe a day or two ago, maybe yesterday, where somebody took screenshots of someone in chat pretending to be a part of the Med Runners org, but he turns out, from according to what they say, it turns out he's a part of the GrieferNet org, where he's posing in game to be a part of the Med Runners, and he's extorting people real world money to do certain things with Med Runners. And I don't know if any of that's true, but that's what was posted, and they kind of had some screenshots and they debated about it, and that's against what CIG's trying to do. So obviously that's not good, right? That person should get banned.
I do not agree with that.
But these are just some interesting things that I've come across recently that are actually happening right now.
And that would be hard to do if the org structure was in game.
Right.
I don't agree with it.
I don't think anybody agrees with it, but yeah.
But okay, I'm not going to charge anybody to be in my org. I'm not doing that.
And nobody should join any sort of Discord, that charges like that. That's just ridiculous.
No, that's. I mean, I'm going to say it. Where there's certain things that I want to do in my org to boost it, to make it better. I don't have it right now. Once I have it, I will do it, but I'm not going to ask for donations for it. That's going to come out of me, because this is what I want to make it better. I'm not gonna do that.
Mm-hmm.
I will never do that. And everybody who is in my org that can see me right now and hear me, I will never ever ask them for any money to fund a Discord server.
I don't think anybody ever would think that you're that kind of person, Shadow. So
well,
I think you're good.
I'm saying I want it clear, because that is wrong. Okay?
I disagree.
You disagree?
I do. I don't think if you don't want to join an org that charges money, and you don't want to join a Discord that charges money, you shouldn't. You should never be forced to do so.
No.
However, so running an org, especially some of the larger orgs that have thousands of players, right, that can be very taxing on a person's time. Dealing with interpersonal conflict, creating events, organizing that stuff.
Well, that's why you have chain of command too. You have other people that can. If you don't have the time, you delegate that to someone who does.
But it's even so, the role at the top, an org may benefit from having somebody who's full-time org command. Again, that goes back to what should each individual group do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing that anytime soon, and I don't expect us to ever be big enough to where even that be a viable option. But at the same time, if an org wants to do it, and somebody wants to join that org and pay
that's their decision.
$5 a month or $2,
yeah, if that's
decision.
what they want, yeah.
Like, I don't want to paint them with a broad brush of no one should ever do this. I don't want to do this. I don't see value in that, at least not right now.
If anybody ever asks me, I'll tell them, it's probably not the best idea, but at the end of the day, it is their decision. And
Especially in game and alpha.
I'm never gonna tell a new player. I think it's terrible for a new player to be that's his first org is something he's got to play physical. He doesn't even know what's going on in the game. He doesn't know what's going on.
And
you know,
that's
don't
totally
fall into
not
that trap that maybe don't ever feel like you have to. You know, start off with an org where you don't have to pay. Weigh your options later on. Figure out if that's for you.
Yeah. And I completely agree. I just don't want to paint with a broad brush.
But it also comes something with that too. What are they doing? It depends. What are the chain of command doing with that money? You never know. You know, they could tell you whatever they want. So there's a certain amount of trust that goes into that as well. So
it's a major amount of trust.
Mm-hmm.
That's nothing to play with. That is nothing to play with.
Yeah.
And to me, my organization, when I created it, and I'm going to say this to everybody, my organization was to help new players. And I created it for that purpose, to help new players get in the game, learn the basics, and be able to survive. And if they want to go to other organizations, they have the absolute freedom to do it. But the people that have joined my org and they've actually signed up on the website, okay, I have grown from 4 to 22 in the time that I've created it. And you know what? I appreciate all of those who have come and committed. And then I've gotten some affiliates that have come to the org and they want to help do what I visioned the org to be doing, and bring in a industrial org that is going out to do salvage, some to do selling, and some to do trading, and some to do this. This is what it's about. It's about a community coming together to work together, not to be a organization that is for just war. I didn't build it for that. I built it to help. And I built it to create things, not to destroy.
Right.
And so that's what the Snowbirds is about. I did activate the Warbirds because the Snowbirds need protection. So this is what that's it.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's the beauty. All orgs are different. They're gonna have, you know, it's only limited to your imagination what you want the org to be. You know, so that's the good thing. But we'll go ahead and move on from talking about taxes and stuff.
Can I do a shout out, Joe?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I really like the idea that I didn't think of this. I credit Everett this one. The idea that an org could sell access to an org's paint. And if you want to paint your ship, your org colors, the buying of the paint could be going towards an org fund. I mean, that's
like an org fundraiser type of thing, right?
Yeah. I don't know if CIG would make that, put that in the game, but that was a really cool idea.
I was about to go on to that. So something they did mention during the CON42, this leads right from what Zook was talking about. They did say that they absolutely want, they didn't go into specifics or anything, but they really, one of the first things that they're going to put in there along with the whole rework of the orgs and the tools for it in game is they talked about uniform paints for the org, and that's something that they are absolutely going to have. So, but what Zook was talking about, you know, being able to, you know, make it org paint, you know, and maybe be able to use it as like a fundraiser, you know, and I'm sure there's going to be other aspects to that too. You know, that you're going to be able to, other services you're going to be able to provide for the org that you could sell for as like a fundraising type of thing.
But you know what? I'm going to say this.
I'm for all of it.
But I look at it like this: if people wanted to donate to the organization, I would take that money, put it in an AUEC, and spread it out for everybody. That's what I would do with it, because that's how I am.
Okay.
I want everybody to feel that they're part of it and be able to go out and do what they want to do, buy ships. If once they try them out, check it out, then spend their AUEC or whatever and enjoy. That's all I want from the game. For the new players, old players, and alike to enjoy. That is the main thing of this game, this simulation. Enjoy. Because we have enough real life stress that makes sometimes the game even worse. You know, you come in and there's some jerk that wants to blow you out of the sky just because he's had a bad day or something like that. We don't know, but it makes sense. And I go in sometimes by myself and I just enjoy, but I enjoy being with people because I may not command the crew all the time. I want some of the people that I put in positions to have the command, and I will follow them. I will say things to maybe help them along, but they're still in command. And that's the camaraderie. That is the main thing about this game, is to build relationships. And if I'm wrong, tell me.
I think you're wrong.
Really, Zook, you would.
I don't think you're wrong.
Oh, okay.
I think you're wrong.
Oh, you did? That's my bad.
I don't know if that was like an audio
I
issue
mumble
or...
sometimes. No, it's totally me. It's my end. No, Zook speaks. Oh, he thinks I'm wrong.
Wait. I have one comment. Gaming Tribal, good idea, but that causes issues for people who don't play as often as others. It causes infighting. And you know what? You are absolutely right. Because there's certain people that don't play enough to make it beneficial for them, but the other players who play a lot, it's more beneficial for them. So we have to make it fair in certain aspects. I don't know how that can be done, but it does need to be it there has to be a happy medium, and that has to be figured out between us. Because CIG is not going to do it. We have to figure it out.
I had already laid out how it will be fair for everybody.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead again, Whole Armor, because I may have missed it.
Yeah, they were talking about factory nodes for organizations that own their own corporations in game. Like what's that ship that has the ability to build houses?
The Pioneer.
Pioneer,
yeah.
Right, the Pioneer, right? So that is going to be a ship that a small org of 10 to 20 people can operate that ship, supply that ship, right? And so they're as the players are doing their thing, supplying that ship, getting that ship working and stuff like that. Whoever as that ship is tied to an organization, they can have it to where there's a centralized banking system inside the game where each player has a cut that they pay into as far as a tax that way. And then as that company builds up enough capital, that will allow that organization, or small organization or big organization, to be able to participate in other large scale events as an org together.
Agreed.
You could do with that, running with your idea, Palmer, you could have an org that's paying for modules that players find and sell to the org.
Be right back.
And then the org could resell that org for a profit back to other org members. And how much money you make is based on how much work you're doing. Very proportional. And if you have the money and you're earning the money to buy these parts, you can then buy these parts, and it would then go towards the org bank.
And that's what I plan on doing with mine, because I have a Pioneer too. And I've been thinking about this for the last 2 days. So that's exactly what I was thinking, So
like there's, as an org member, I will buy, or I'll sell supplies to an org ship. I will sell supplies to my org friends. I will trade with my orgs at a less profit before I'll trade with other orgs at a higher profit.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And I expect my other org members to do basically kind of the same.
Right.
And while those features aren't in the game yet, it's very clear that they need to build those tools to enable those interactions. And they need to be able to keep it in game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The worst thing they can do is water down, dumb down, or destroy these features, forcing us to have an Excel spreadsheet to do it out of game.
Well, see, that's where rep comes in, and being able to label other orgs as affiliates, right? Maybe it's just go into your mobiGlas or terminal somewhere and say, these are affiliate orgs, and the org system will automatically input, or maybe you could input as the org leader, having the controls over that, being able to input how much of a discount they get, or maybe certain affiliate orgs deserve a better discount than others because you do more with one than the other, or something like that, or maybe one's a little bit more on the shadier side and you don't really want them associated with too much. But there's so much little things that they could do for tools to give us, and depending on people's rep and different roles within the chain of command, that all runs through discounts and charging higher prices for others. So
I think Homer's absolutely right. The organization needs to be able to make money. They need to have a singular face be able to push out. We also need to be able to visually tell from a distance or from scanning a ship what org that ship belongs to. It could be as simple as someone wants to pull an org ship out that's being stored away for org use. They pay a rental fee for that. You're renting a ship from the org, potentially, right? There's a bunch of different ways they can do this. And the fact that they're starting to look at doing that for real is really encouraging. The one piece that I do love, and I was so worried about this when they were talking about AI commands and AI APCs running things on your ship.
Yeah.
They said they will not allow an AI to captain one of the org ships. I love it.
That was going to be the next thing that
that is the best, because I do not want an NPC captain of one of my ships.
No, it just would not be good. I mean, you can see how they fly now. Even when the game actually works in the future, assuming it's going to work in the future, you probably don't want them doing basic maneuvers the entire time. There's going to be situations that they're going to have to be able to avoid, and think about your roles as a captain. You need to be able to relay certain messages to the engineers, or anybody else that has a special role within the ship. You know, not an AI would never be able to have the complexity that you would need it to have, like a normal player would be able to do. But
Because go
something
ahead, Joe.
something
Sorry.
real quick, they added that we actually saw recently on the monthly report for Squadron 42. They recently just put in commands for you as a player to give to AI that are with you to attack, defend, and other things. So I don't know. I don't know when they're gonna think about maybe bringing those over, and how much of that they're gonna extend. But essentially, in the monthly report, they talked about 3 or 4 basic commands
But
that they would have.
those basic commands, okay? I've played games where you could command another part and they go and do it. But this is totally different because look at it like this. I go out into battle, okay? I have my fleet and then the salvage fleet, the protection fleet, and things like that. I need to be able to give those commands to those different fleets to do certain actions. And I'd rather have a person that is actually flying the ship than give it to an NPC, excuse me, and it not work. I know there's a um, percentage of failure, but I'd rather have it uh, instead of an AI. I don't want an AI in command of one of my ships.
Right. And we're not going to have it. So that's really good
Well,
news.
I want to go beyond just having it as a preference as far as what you prefer to do here, because some people may have a preference that even if the AI is an idiot, you may say, "I want the AI to man my ship." Let's say this player wants to do that. I don't want there to ever be a situation where an AI is captaining any ship, and it's not because I think the AI can't or could never do it, because that's not the case.
No.
The AI will eventually be able to do so. I don't want that set up in game where an AI will, because that would give in theory, a single player could be organizing a fleet of AI controlled ships, capital ships, fighters, and so on and so forth.
Yes.
And that would create an unfair advantage. In my opinion, it would be an unfair advantage when going up against other orgs fleets potentially, or other org events,
Well, that would
because
be
that singular players having to not have to argue with anybody, whereas an organization will have to coordinate with other real people and
well,
should be rewarded for having to do so,
and just
or
like
for doing that
gaming,
work.
yeah, but just like gaming tribunals just said in chat, we are the Borg. Okay, you're looking this. I've done this in other games. We've done it, Homeworld and things of that nature. Okay, we've commanded fleets to go to ships to go into a certain area while they were blockading what we were trying to do. Okay, I'd rather have, and me personally, there's certain people that I will trust with my ships. And I will say, okay, this is what I need you to do. I'm going to be doing this. This person is going to be doing this. This is a strategy. We don't want it to be an RTS, okay? Which is a roll, turn, execute. We don't want that. We want it to be real and interactive, where we are talking to real people that are in command of that section. Tell me if I'm wrong.
No, that's exactly what CIG said. They said they don't want it to be an RTS game. So, you know, they feel the same. So yeah, I mean,
And that made me happy. That's all I'm saying. Like that,
Yes,
that
it did.
was
I agree
I was
with
so
you,
excited about that.
Zook. I want to come over there and hug you right now because yeah, that's the way it should be.
now I could see something. Let's say, I mean, you could probably hire NPCs to go take care of certain jobs, like transport. You know, if you got somebody, you know, let's say you're out in like Pyro or something, or maybe not Pyro is the best idea, but maybe somewhere, and you know, you don't have the time to do it. You don't have anybody else that can, but you could set up a transport for an AI to go take like an Argo personnel carrier down to the planet, pick them up, and bring them back to the ship or something.
Whole armor, your thought.
I'm sorry. I had just got back. I probably missed out on the topic. What was the topic?
Oh, we're talking about the fact that CIG doesn't want AI to be captains of ships, and that they're not going to have that in the future.
Right. That's a fact. The NPCs, as far as being captains of ships, as far as interactable NPCs out in the verse, but no captains of player-owned ships. No, that's NPCs. The way I understand it, was supposed to be hired as crew.
Yeah,
just crew members.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Exactly.
And yeah, that RTS stuff, that's not in CIG's vocabulary. This is.
I hope not anyway.
Don't play Star Citizen. You live it.
Okay, Joe. Next topic.
Yep. All right. So they talked about they brought up some interesting stuff here. Not really much to talk about in these areas, but I thought I'd just go ahead and bring it up. They said, you know, they're going to have Dolby Atmos for audio in the future. So for anybody that is really into that kind of stuff, that's I guess that's a good thing. I don't know much about it, but it's supposed to enhance audio for the game. They addressed graphics engine worries for like future things, you know, like someone brought up like Unreal 5 and stuff like that, and being able to, for CIG to be able to like what are the plans of Lumberyard being able to keep up with current days graphics demands, right? And they essentially squashed it, saying, you know, they've taken Lumberyard and it's essentially not Lumberyard anymore. It's their own baby. It's something completely different. And that there shouldn't be any worry from anybody that they have the ability to upgrade it in the future fairly easily. And
it's Star Engine.
They've done this before.
Yeah, but yeah, essentially they could keep up with future demands, which is as good. I'm glad they said it. But like you said, Whole Armor, they've gone through this before. But it's something that keeps getting brought up and people are constantly worried about, you know. So I thought I'd just bring that up.
Because I'm going to say this, and Whole Armor, you may agree, I hope you agree on this. If they went to Unreal 5, they would be years doing this again. It's not worth it.
It wouldn't happen. You might as well cancel the project if you have to do something like that.
Yeah.
You know, if whatever you got just isn't working and it's to the point where you would have to switch, you have to cancel it at that point. There's no way anything would ever get done, because
they've already done that once. They've already did it once, and it literally added at least 2 to 3 years of delay.
Yeah. So
it's not worth it.
All right, so next thing. They said unfinished large ships will get the priority when ship resource systems engineering and multi-crew gets finished. So that's essentially when they would start working on the capital ships, the big backlog of things that we would need. But we're still a little ways off from, you know, They are they're getting close with the resource system and engineering, multi-crew type
Polaris.
stuff, but
Polaris.
they could probably do the Polaris. I feel like they probably could.
Okay. We know in the sprint report and the ISC, okay,
They're working on it.
they're saying that the Polaris, as far as certain work, will be done in September. Okay.
Doesn't mean the ship's done.
It doesn't mean the ship is done. Certain aspects of the ship will be completed. So I'm going to say this to everybody right now. Don't expect that sucker to drop in September. Do not expect it, because you will be heartbroken. We're still waiting on other ships that have been in the pipeline for a while. Okay. I'm not expecting the Polaris. All I'm saying is that work is being completed. And that is a big thing, because that ship has been waited for a long time. We're still waiting on the BMM. And that was shelved due to the fact that priorities changed. And a lot, and Zook and Joe, if I'm correct, the teams left and they went to other places. So it was shelved to be worked on, and another person that was involved in the project took the lead, but he had to bring on people to help him finish it.
Basically, the people who were building it left the company. Turnover happens. These are employees, just like any other company, any other project out there. It got shelved. It's not shelved indefinitely. There's still something they want to do. We don't know when they're going to get back to it, though. You know, I like the fact, they mentioned it. I don't know if they mentioned it because they just want to, put fears at ease, or if they're like, look, we're going to start working on these backlogs now. I don't know. This may be a sign of them changing direction or changing focus for some teams. This may be just them trying to help keep us calm.
But
we won't know until next year.
Yeah, I think it's more of the latter.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
I'm with Homer this one. I'm going to lean towards that, actually.
I'm going to say this, and being a player and a backer that has only been in the Star Citizen universe and the community for just over a year, I don't put my eggs in the basket, because in that time that I've been here, I've seen a whole lot of things, and I'm going to say that I was kind of hurt on certain things that didn't come to fruition, because I had my expectations high, but I learned my lesson. So I dialed them back, and it comes when it comes. That is the major thing that I am looking at right now. I don't put them so far ahead that it hurts me, because I love the game too much for it to hurt me so bad that I become disgruntled and then I leave. I don't want that. I want to be able to play the game for what it is, because this is a dream that I've had, because I can't do it personally, because I was 8 years old when I had this dream. And now it gives me the dream where I can go and do this shit that I dreamed about when I was 8 years old, watching Neil Armstrong walking. So yeah,
Okay.
just my thought.
All right.
Just my thought. Sorry.
Let's go ahead and move on. So that's about it for Con42 coverage. We're gonna go into the Star Citizen Live that happened with Ed Elliott, the lead designers of the mission feature team. Something that they brought up the new data heist mission that's coming with 319. And
MSR.
well, that's not necessarily what it is, Shadow.
I know, I'm joking.
Sorry to burst your bubble.
I was joking.
Their explanation for essentially what it's going to entail is there's going to be enemies at a UGF, right? You're going to have to upload data, and there's going to be a hacker which can be intercepted, or your data that you're uploading to the hacker can be intercepted, and when that happens, you're going to have to look for extra codes and to keep the data uploading. And the servers can overheat, and you can lose the mission if they overheat.
Oh shit!
So
yeah,
it's very interesting, and something that they threw out with that is that the way they look at missions like this is that the more complex the objectives are, the more it's written for bigger groups of people, so orgs, right? So maybe this is what you would want to do with your org. And they said that you're going to be able to do it by yourself, but it's going to be a lot of stress. You know, there's going to be a lot you're going to be running around doing, and it might suck, you know. Might be fun for some people, but if you do it yourself, there's going to be a big payout. If you do it with your org, still going to be worth it, but at the same time, obviously it's not going to be as big of a payout if you don't do it by yourself.
Well, you get the reputation for it.
Right.
Gaming Tribunal has. Will it be in the new?
Well, I was going to get to that.
UGFs. Okay.
The question was going to be, they just said underground facilities, right? Now, kind of going with what we've seen from the new underground facilities is that it doesn't look like they're quite there yet with them. Like I can't imagine them actually being done. If they are, that's amazing, right? That's a lot of work that they've gotten accomplished in a short amount of time. So it would be great if it's the new ones, but I think this is for the current ones. And my question is, if it is for the current underground facilities, does that mean they have to rewrite this mission whenever they have the new underground facilities in?
Yeah.
And what is that?
Yeah.
I would say so.
Yeah, they would.
And
because you would want to utilize the space.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be a completely different mission. The difference between the new UGFs and the ones that we have now, so it's absolutely just completely massive, right? And you can't just copy and paste that. You kind of can, but I mean, there'd be more to it than that.
No.
So, do you guys think that they're for new? Do you think the new UGFs are done? Do you think they're going to be in there for 319? Or
I don't see them in 319.
Yeah, I don't see
the UGFs are not coming in 319. If they were, we would have already heard about it in leaks. One, and then
they would have been
it could
committed.
Technically still, it could not be committed. It could still technically happen, but it's very unlikely that it's going to happen.
Yeah,
they're probably making it for the base bunker that we have now.
Yeah,
and just like every bunker mission out there, all the bounty missions in the bunkers, all the assassination missions in bunkers, all of them will have to be rewritten.
Never mind. He was asking, Branish was asking what a UGF was, but he found
underground facility.
Yeah.
I don't see. Go ahead. Go ahead on Whole Armor.
Yeah, I don't think that they're completed, but I do believe that the software tools that they have created to make those
the modular system,
right?
Is
done.
Yeah.
Completed.
Oh yeah, that's completed. Now,
Yeah.
whether the assets for the module, the module system, for specifically for the UGS, whether that's done or not, we're not entirely sure. I know they did show a little bit of it off. I think they showed 3 possible like overlays that they can apply for them, but yeah.
Rastar,
Rastar is
from-
different, I believe.
that's different. That is a tool that is going to be utilized to make
That's for the outposts.
for the outpost
Mhm.
that you can actually place structures for a facility that you want to build, but it's
So-
not ready yet. Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead, Zeke.
So basically, like my understanding is Rastar, and I could be wrong here. The Rastar is the system that makes building these facilities more automated.
Yeah.
And then the mission team creates the tools that then puts these missions in the spaces. So the physical geometry people is separate from the like mission logic team. They're both tools making that will be combined, that will be used to make these experiences for us, but they are separate teams and they're separate tools.
Yes.
Full armor?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how any of that stuff works. I just know that they have the capabilities of doing it once the conditions are met.
Well,
Yep.
I think Rastar would be more utilized with the Pioneer.
Yes, it will. That's going to be something that's limited to like the Pioneer. Yeah. I don't know any other. I'm sure you would probably have some sort of interface with the Pioneer that would go into Rastar, and you'd be able to do that kind of thing. Maybe
Go.
maybe if you're if someone's trying to sell or someone's trying to buy or the materials off of you for the outpost or hire you to build it, they'd have to go through maybe there's got to be some sort of system in there that they'd be able to check out and be able to pick what they want, right?
Yeah.
And you'd be able to interact with.
Where they get the resources. This is where resources are going to come into play. Where you have to go out and get the resources to build that facility. And they have to transfer the resources to the person that has been contracted to use Rastar to create your base. I don't know, but it makes sense on that.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on to the next thing. They said something pretty interesting, and we kind of already talked about it a little bit today. They talked about rep and the intricacies when it comes to affiliations with neutral, hostile, or non-hostile factions, and how that matters in various ways, and how that's going to go into missions that you accept. And they were talking about the mission givers and how right now almost all of them are they're not lawful mission givers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they said they have 2 that they're coming soon for Orison. They're lawful mission givers called Batista and Gibbs, who work for Crusader Security, and they're going to offer security missions. And they also said Tessa Bannister's coming at some point. She's another lawful mission giver. But
Yeah.
around the time when that comes, they want to put in a rep system that applies to like the thing that they brought up was if you got good rep with the Nine Tails, but you end up doing like Siege of Orson and you end up shooting them, then your rep is going to continuously go down. The more you shoot at them, the less likely that they're going to, your rep is going to go down with them slowly. and you're not going to be able to see their missions anymore in your MOBA glass, because like right now you can kind of just accept whatever,
But
illegal or
okay.
lawful.
Okay. And this is my take on this, because I'm not much of a rep builder at this point, but
It's going to happen automatically.
yeah, you can go into the Siege of Orson platforms, right? You kill Ninetales constantly, your rep with Crusader is going to go up big time,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you decide, and this is where they decided that there's so many people, I know this is a later question, but they decided that there's too many people doing this mission. You have your option. Can If you want to go with Ninetales or you don't. And if you decide to go with Ninetales and start doing PvP against the civilian defense force, you're going to build your reputation with Ninetales. You're going to lose your reputation with the civilian defense force. So this this is where they give you the choice. You have your choice. And this is what Star Citizen is about. Choices and consequences
And risk.
and major risk. If you just you got to make your choice. And this is why Chris Roberts, when he made Wing Commander, you had your choices. You could go against the Kilrathi, and you could go and do that mission. If you failed, you lost reputation. So you had to go to a harder mission to build it back up. This is the one thing that a lot of people didn't realize when this game came out. And now it's coming to fruition even more prominently in Star Citizen. And especially when Squadron 42 comes out, okay? You fail something, you're going to have to go through a triple harder mission to get that reputation back. So,
Well, I
yeah,
think it's going to be limited in Squadron 42, because when you think about it, you're a part of the UEE Navy, so you're going to have to be the
yeah,
good guy no matter what.
yeah.
I
So,
But you get what I'm saying.
mhm.
You lose reputation, you lose
see
respect,
There's something
and
else I want to point out after Zook.
you have to go in there and do it again. Go ahead, Luke.
to answer your question, Joe. What I want from these systems is a consequence and a benefit.
Yes.
Right at the end of the day, like right
Mhm.
now we have reputation, but it's just we get extra missions or more higher paying missions. Right, that's nice. I want there to be like a gameplay difference to having these reputations or losing it. I
Yes.
Yes.
want there to be I
Mhm.
want there to be bases and facilities that I don't have access to
Yep.
unless I have a good rep, so that if you choose to ally
Grimhex will be the first
yourself,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you choose to ally yourself with Ninetales, you won't have access to Crusader security facilities.
No,
If
you
you
won't.
choose
Yeah.
exactly, I want that to be a consequence and a benefit if
Yes.
you do choose to work together.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Well, that's the
the one
thing.
thing, hang on,
That
hang on,
yeah.
hang on. There's one thing that I am a little bit concerned with is I don't want it to be an either or situation. And I'll give you an example. If I want to be able to have both, but I want that to be very difficult to do. And I give you an example of how that can be done. Twitch is an unlawful mission giver, and Twitch missions directly contradict Blackjack security in Area 18 or in
Yeah.
our corpse base.
Yes.
If you say take down the satellite communications nodes and you complete your missions without getting a crime stat, Crusader Security, by definition, should know you did it,
Yes.
and thus your
Yep.
reputation should not be injured by doing those missions.
Yeah. Well, it's
And,
just
and
like
vice versa.
Agreed.
it's the
But
same
it
thing.
adds-
It's the same thing as committing a crime in front of a CCTV camera. No one knows you did it unless you get caught. So
Yeah.
this should be applied to rep, you know. So
Yeah,
you
and
should
then
be able
that
to
way-
you should be able to build rep with an unlawful faction. At the same time, if the lawful factions haven't found out, you should still be able to build rep with them until you get caught.
Hold
Yeah.
on.
and then for there to be a benefit and a consequence. Like for right now, when we go do Twitch missions, we just a lot of people just don't take on the crimes, don't take down satellite. Like, what's the matter?
Yeah.
We go to bed, we go to prison, we play tomorrow after the prison sentence is completed, we're good to go. Right? We start afresh, a clean, right? I don't want that to be that way. I want there to be a consequence to it. If you choose to be accepted and get a crime stat, local security is going to be like, I don't want to work with you no more. You may wake up the next day and those really high-end bounty missions aren't available in corp space anymore.
But that makes sense. Whole armor, your thought.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. I absolutely agree. And I feel that whichever direction that you decide to go, you shouldn't be locked into it, where you should be able to have the ability to reverse it
Well,
whenever you choose.
okay.
You choose to. My thing is here is the Star Citizen that I look for is I want there to be some form of an inherent danger in everything we do. I want to be able to, when I log into Star Citizen and wake up out of my bed and when I step foot out of my easy cab, I want to have a sense of, I need to really think about what I'm getting ready to do here. You see?
And you know what?
And
Go ahead.
I want there to be forms of environmental hazards on the planet. I want you to be able to go to a planet or a moon and like, well, wait a minute, think twice before you actually land there. You know, I want to be inherent dangers in asteroid fields, inherent dangers when you're dealing with players, inherent dangers when you're dealing with other organizations. I want there to be some form of risk.
But there is always a risk, no matter what you do when you go out into
There's
the
too
verse.
much handhelding in the game right now.
Okay. You just said it. Everybody's talking about hand holding. Okay? Every time you step out of that bed and you walk into that ship, you take a risk getting into it and flying. Because you don't know what's out there. No matter what, even in the alpha state. Because somebody can come and blow you away for no reason. No reason. Okay? You can be a lawful player and just go about your business. Okay? Somebody can take you out. No matter what. Right? Am I wrong?
For the most part, you're right.
Keep on.
What does that have to do with
Yeah.
rep, though? I don't follow.
With the reputation, okay, you decide to go with Twitch. Do whatever Twitch says, okay? In this initial setup, you're going to be on the wrong side of the law. In that region, it should be region based. It should not be all the way through the system. Right? If I'm getting what you're saying.
when we get Pyro, your criminal status in Stanton will not follow you.
That's a whole nother
To
jurisdiction. It's just like how
Yeah.
all the planets have their own jurisdictions. So if you
Yeah.
get in trouble with in like, you know, somewhere in Microtech, right? This is something I'm actually not sure of. If that should follow to Hurston's jurisdiction, you know, should they be able to?
does.
Should they
It
be able
should.
to? Should the systems be? Should the jurisdictions, the lawful jurisdictions, talk to each other and be able to pass on that information? Maybe within
Yeah.
like the same system, but when you're talking about Stanton and Pyro, I don't think it
But
should
that-
transfer into Pyro.
But there could be informers that say, okay, this person did this, right? And pass that on to the next jurisdiction. You don't know until you enter that area, and that's when you find out. So,
That could be a hacking gameplay too.
yeah,
If you're unsure about
Interact-
somebody, you should be able to do some sort of like background check. You know, go in,
Yeah.
hack
Yeah.
hack something, and then be able to see like their shady past in like Pyro or something.
head call. Be right back.
All right.
Oh, guys, so one thing I want to add is that could go in. That could, can speculate. Speculation here. That could be as part of the data running gameplay. Hey, there's a Microtech wanted person over here. We need someone to take that data to Crusader and to Arcourt. That could be a mission that can be given out, or any number of different situations. That could be a situation where, as a wanted player, you don't have access to that information automatically. You may not know going into that space area that if word has gotten around about your criminality yet, you may have to like hack a ship or get access to a facility to know what's known about you in that space. Now, as the way the lore is written, any warrants and Microtech would extend to Crusader, because while these places have their own local security, their law, their legality is still UE space. So that crime you're committing may be in Microtech space, but it's against the it's a quote unquote against the UEE.
Right.
You're wanted by the UEE.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
that should follow you into every system that the UEE controls.
Yes.
If you go to Odin, it should be there.
Right.
Now, should it be there immediately? There's a debate for that. I could see there being a question of if you can stay ahead of your wanted status. That could be interesting.
It depends on how complicated they want to make it, because that's
It really does.
very in depth. So, yeah.
But it definitely should not. If a system is not controlled by UE, it should not follow you there.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Whole Armor, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I want Star Citizen to play like GTA.
Oh, okay.
This guy's going to Pyro. That's where he's going.
Griefer. No, I'm not.
Grafer. Oof.
I'm not saying that. Star Citizen is its own entity. It is not GTA. Let us get that freaking clear right now.
I didn't say it was GTA.
No.
He said he
No,
wants it to be
yours-
GTA.
You said
To play
I'm
like
not.
GTA.
I'm not throwing that on you. Okay. I'm not.
Okay,
throwing
one
that
thing.
on you.
Gladius versus Saber. Go.
No.
Yeah.
But-
what you saying, Joe?
All I'm saying is that Star Citizen is its own entity. We are not going to. It should not be compared to any other game. Period. Because
You can compare anything to anything, honestly, whenever
Yeah.
you want. It doesn't matter.
you could, but
Can.
okay, then we'll just go ahead and let Star Citizen be GTA.
No, that's not what I'm saying. No,
No, that's
but
not what
that-
I'm
saying.
saying regardless, people are gonna, compare it to
They're gonna
Starfield.
do- But they're going to do what they want to do.
And
Okay.
people do what they want to do in GTA, so you be able to do what you want to do in
There,
Star Citizen.
there are portions
Yeah.
of every game that you can compare to each other, right? Like maybe
Yes,
not the whole
right.
game, but there are portions that Star
Yeah.
Citizen borrows from other games that you could compare. Like whenever I play,
GTA drive cars, we fly ships.
well, whenever I play any other game like Star Trek Bridge Crew, I can't help but to compare what Star Citizen's going to do when it comes to the whole bridge gameplay, right? Which they already said it's not going to be like Bridge Crew, but
I just don't want something so unique, so special to be
tainted by
compared
GTA mechanics.
to be tainted. And you said the words tainted, because there are so many people that go into GTA.
Let me rephrase that.
Go ahead.
I would like Star Citizen to play like GTA in the sense of there's no restrictions on players.
Then you don't want any law.
Well, hold on. There's going to be places. That's going to be, where that's going to be more of a prominent thing, and places where it's not. It's like Stanton and Pyro. If you want to go have the ability to kind of do whatever you want, you're probably going to be in Pyro. So there going to be places for different types of gameplay.
Point
right here.
Point said.
Wait a minute. No. Oh, where is it? Where you at? Over here. I'm going with my man right here. That he said. There has to be consequences for your actions.
Always. In GTA, right? Once you do something, right?
Yeah.
The cops are on your ass.
There you go. GTA.
Okay. Now, in Star Citizen, okay, they need to refine that, but it has to be balanced. Okay?
Not only NPCs can come after you, I want players to come after you.
Yes, of course. But Pyro, when you know, and you've been begging for it. When Pyro comes, that is where there is no law.
I don't care what star system you in. I want players to be able to hunt you down.
Listen, let me finish.
Any star system.
When you get to Pyro, okay, that system is lawless. They plan on bringing forces to go with whatever's there as a law to enforce it. So be prepared. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to make it to where it is, but they are talking about it's going to be this faction against this faction. Okay? Lawless to lawful. And you will be contracted to help bring law to Pyro if you decide to do it. If you don't, you can be the lawless. You can go around, blow away anybody you want.
I'll be right back. You guys keep going.
And not get caught.
Lawlessness to Stanton. I want it to be what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
So basically,
for both star systems,
you want to be a criminal.
Negative.
Then let's clear this right now. Let's clear it right now. Come on.
Am I making sense?
You're making sense. But
hang on. Trying to drag for a second, guys.
Yeah.
Modified.
Go.
In Pyro, in space that is controlled by Ninetales or Xenothreat, right? Those factions, if you commit an aggressive action against those factions, they will probably come after you. It probably won't be called a quote unquote crime stat, but you will be stepping over and on the authorities in that section of space. They will come after you. It won't be security, it will be Ninetales. It won't be Blackjack, it'll be Threat. Right? So if you are allied with Xenothreat, if you're allied with Ninetales, you're gonna go to Pyro, and it's gonna feel like Stanton to you if you're allied with them to some degree, right? It won't be completely lawless to you because you're welcome there, right? And that's what I feel like, Armor's getting at here over here. But if you're a Stantonite who is allied with the UEE and is allied with Crusader Security, and you jump your happy little rear end in your Gladius to Pyro, it will feel like you're constantly wanted. Because especially if you're hostile to Ninetales, they will come after you, and Ninetales might put a bounty on your head.
Listen,
Point taken.
I'm not talking about. See, when I talk about Star Citizen, I don't talk about any one specific thing. I talk about the whole totality of Star Citizen.
Yes.
When I talk about Stanton or Pyro, I look past Pyro. I don't talk about Pyro. I look past Pyro. I'm talking about citizens, Star Citizens, where there has to be an inherent danger for what you do. There has to be a consequence for your actions if you decide to do certain things. There has to be a reward for you if you're doing things according to what you're aligned with or what you're not aligned with. A balance, right?
But that is what I've been saying all along.
Oh, okay.
You have a choice. And I agree with you, Whole Armor. I agree with you. You have a choice. Once you go into Pyro, and if you decide to do things, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm talking not just Pyro.
But that's with every system.
Well, not every system will be lawful or unlawful. Some will be neutral.
But
some will be neutral. Some may not. Some may have no controlling faction whatsoever.
But you're talking about a person, one single person, right? Who decides to go.
No, I'm talking about.
But you're saying
overall of the game where.
Yes, you're talking about overall of the game, right. But that depends on the person that is playing the character.
Right. And I want there to be
Quick
inherent dangers on the planets. I want there to be lightning strikes on the planets. I want to be volcanoes on the planet where you have to go somewhere, but you gotta there's all of a sudden a volcano just erupted and now you have to.
But those are dynamic things that could happen at any point in time. But what I'm talking about is an individual. Okay? An individual that decides what they decide to do.
Right. But I'm trying to finish my thought though.
Finish your thought.
Okay, so I'm trying this is what I wanted. Like I see Star Citizen in the future is where you have to really think about and plan things out, what ship you're gonna take, what weapons you're gonna take, plan ahead, get your load out together. What armor are you gonna wear when you do certain jobs? What vehicles you're gonna drive when you go to certain. I want to be able to make those types of decisions.
You make those types of decisions now
in the game and go on
a
much larger scale.
You take those decisions every time you get into a ship.
What we're saying, Shadow, and I think I can back Armor up on this one, is it's not just making those decisions. We want to see the consequences of those decisions. Now we're not hang on. No, we don't see that yet. We don't. The most consequences we have right now is a crime stat in Stanton, and either a increase in what the missions you can provide that you can pick up. That's all we see, right? You don't get additional access for doing good with a faction, and you don't lose access to facilities or to traders or admission givers if you do bad for a faction, right?
Okay.
You just don't right now, right? So
But
what he's
I
saying is,
see-
hang on, let me finish. He's not saying pro criminal or con criminal. He's not saying pro UE or con UE. He's saying whichever way you choose to go, however you choose to fly, and whoever you choose to do work for, right? That determines where you can be more safe versus more dangerous. If you are very friendly with Ninetales, the section of Pyro that Ninetales controls, you can actually fly with being a little bit unprepared there because the local controlling faction is friendly with you. If you come across a Ninetales while flying in that space and you're allied with them, they're not a threat to you. But if you go to Stanton, that person who did the criminal route, if you go to Stanton, you are now heavily hostile and maybe automatically wanted 5-star, right? To use your GTA reference. But if you're in Stanton, if you're a Stanton citizen and you go to Pyro, the local security forces said, you did Siege of Orson 5 times last week. You killed so many of our guys, you're wanted by all of our guys in this space. Now you're going to go through hell in Pyro. So it's not a matter it's not a matter of being a criminal or not being a criminal. It's a matter of the local reputation with the local controlling faction, regardless of where it is, and the consequences of those actions.
I agree with
And
that.
the dangers of the environment.
I agree with that. I have not stated that I don't agree with that. Okay? Not stated that.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm saying is when you enter that section of space and you have reputation with certain factions, okay? You go into a new section of space. They may not like you because you did business with them, with this faction. They may like you because you did certain business. You don't know until you get there. It is a dynamic event. Dynamic.
I think there should be some dark zones somewhere out there in space that
Hey, Joe.
that there's literally no information because there's nothing there. I think you should, like, if you're doing something shady, those are probably the places you'd want to do it.
But that is the whole idea of Pyro. Pyro is
well, kind of, but
unknown.
Pyro's populated. That's the thing.
It's populated, but we don't know what we're going to encounter when we get there. That is what I'm trying to say. We don't know until we walk into the situation. And once you have reputation with a certain faction, or you have a reputation with another faction, that's when you're going to encounter everything that happens. It is dynamic.
In order for you to get reputation with a faction, you should already know what's there because
you don't know.
So my point is that you should be able to. There should be zones where it doesn't matter who's there. They shouldn't know anything about you. They don't have access to any of that because wherever they're at, there is no network.
Space.
Yeah, there is no network. There is nothing. And all you have to go on is what you see. And you're going to have to react to what you see and your best instincts.
That is what's dynamic, right? Because when you get there, nobody's going to know you, right? If I'm correct. I'm not trying to be a dick.
It depends. We don't know how they're going to implement it. You know?
But we don't know.
This is all just...
I think we all agree that ultimately at the end of the day, we want both positive and negative consequences for our actions for these people that we're working with, that we're working for.
I'm trying to get my perspective as a lawful player. Okay? my perspective, because I don't try to get in any shit, period. And when I go to Pyro to do my business, I'm going to have to align with people that I may not like to get the business done. I may have to align with people that know
That's
what
right.
I do. So this is where the dynamic actions come in. And this is what I've been trying to
Mhm.
say all along. Nobody knows until we get there. So
You
this is
should
where
that
this is,
feeling of unknown should be that in every star system.
but that's where it all comes to be. We don't know. And yes, this is the future of Star Citizen. Star Citizen is going to be so dynamic with every system that we walk into. We don't know what's going to happen. And that's
Right.
the whole idea. And
I don't want you to.
Space is
that's what
scary.
X
I don't want no player to know what another player's intentions is gonna be
but
when you come across that player.
this is where
I don't want I don't want Star Citizens to be governed by sanctioned missions. I
no,
want Star Citizens to be able to create their own sandbox
this
event.
this is
Like
where
like when you go to no 1 second when you go to any star system and you come across a player or an NPC, there needs to be some inherent danger that that NPC is going to rob. There has to be inherent danger that a player may rob,
but
shoot you,
that's
and take
but
your
that's
stuff
what we
and
get
drive
now in
off with
Stanton because we don't know what players do or what they think.
it. They'll dive
We
bomb your ship on a platform.
exactly. We don't know, but what I'm
No,
saying is I can go into Nick's, okay? I've never been to Nick's. I have no idea what I'm going to encounter. This
Well,
is what exploration is.
that's exactly
data
what we want.
and scouting. You know, you're
That's
gonna have to do
exactly what we want.
Also,
when you're planning any to go anywhere. You're gonna have to get your people together. You're gonna have to go through the data. You're gonna have to go through all the information you got for that area, and
Right.
you're
For
gonna
you to
have to
figure it out.
plan. You
For
know,
you, I want CIG to develop a way for ships to deploy beacons,
I'm gonna say probes. Yeah,
probes,
yeah,
so that you can survey the area
yep,
because we don't know.
yeah.
This is the gameplay that I'm asking for.
And
This is exactly what we want.
this is what I am dying for. I want exploration. I want to be able to go into a system not knowing what I'm going to walk into, but I want to be able to survey
Mm-hmm.
from a point and then say, okay, this area has this,
Mm.
and and pick and choose.
You should be able to survey an area. Let's say you go somewhere and you see somebody on the surface, right? You don't know what their intention is. You don't know anything about that person.
No.
And what you're doing is you're watching them. You're scouting. You're seeing, you're looking for signs, right? Maybe you surveyed the area and you realize this is a very rich in resources area, right? This person probably knows that, and he probably is willing to defend it. Most people are willing to defend that if they know they're going to make a lot of money. If they're sitting on a lot of money, then you can look at the vehicles he has. Okay, does he have mining vehicles, right? He's probably got a weapon with him. He's probably going to defend himself. So you can't just walk up there and be like, hey, how's it going? He's not going to like that very much.
Okay, can I say this? This is the prime directive.
He went Star Trek on us.
This is the prime directive. You don't know what type. They could be years behind. Okay? This is what exploration is. This is all it's about. And yeah, you guys laugh, but this is what it's about.
Yeah.
That's it. We don't know what's going to be out there. And this is why I love Star Citizen, because I don't know. And I want to experience the thrill of exploration. And that's why 600i, when it becomes the exploration vehicle that it's supposed to be, that is my primary ship to explore. So,
That you'll have to fun with taxes.
Lord have mercy.
Should we bring up taxes again? No. Okay.
I would like to see rival gangs too. Retaliation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That a retaliation comes natural with the order of things of a game like this. You know, that's going to be a. Are you gonna let things slide because you're gonna have to show a show of force to some people? You know, like you're gonna want pirates to know that even though you're lawful, you're not gonna just take it sitting down. And so they're gonna have to think when they approach you or see you flying by with a whole E. Is it worth their time, or are they going to get too much pushback from that org, knowing, you know, what they know about that org? Is it worth it?
And then think it is too. Let's say, Joe, you go into a star system and you align with a certain faction, and I go into a star system and I align with the opposite faction, the rival gang of that faction. Me and you, we know each other.
Mm-hmm.
We play the game with each other. Your faction say, "Hey, we gotta go to war with them," and my faction say, "Hey, we gotta go to war with them."
And
now, do we do
that?
Do we not?
Is where you know the person that's there. You have an option. You can make it to where there is peace. You don't.
You can strike deals.
Take your head off.
You don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to. You make a choice.
You're right.
Whole armor.
That's my choice. That would be my choice.
Yes.
Would be my choice.
Well, then you become the enemy in Stanton.
Think about
as well.
Organized crime.
Get it through your head. Once you make the choice, you are all over. You are all
the red
over.
Pill versus the blue
well,
pill.
Well, think about organized crime, guys.
Saying. Once you start in one area, it rolls back. No. Yes, it does. Once you start in one area, it rolls back, and then you become an enemy in another area.
It rolls back right now. It does not automatically roll back in the future.
Hold on.
We're talking two different things. The way the game is now is not the way the game is going to be once we have Nyx, Pyro, Odin, and the rest of it. It's just not. Yeah. Now, to some degree, it will, but to some degree, it won't. But regardless, at the end of the day, and I think we all agree, we want consequences for our actions. We want the reputation to matter, regardless of where we're going into, with the exception of like uncontrolled space, like Dead Space. Right. I think we all agree on that. The question becomes, the distinction. I think the distinction that we disagree on is like how easy or how hard and how punishing and how rewarding these things should be. I think we all agree on the mechanic. Maybe we agree or disagree on the extent of the mechanic or how powerful it should be.
That honestly, it doesn't really matter too much whether we disagree on or agree on the extent of things, because that's ultimately up to CIG. We have no idea what the hell they're gonna do.
But
so let me go ahead and address.
Go ahead,
right quick.
Finish it.
Now, I know that there's some things that I don't have to do. I'm playing with my faction, and Joe would be playing with his faction. Now, whether he chooses to go to war with my faction and he sees me up in there and he doesn't want to shoot at me, well, that's fine. I'm gunning. because I want my faction to win.
And that's something I should
But-
be prepared for.
But
Exactly.
that
Now
right there.
But this is the point that I'm trying to make here.
Finish it.
Is this? That is the beauty of Star Citizen that we need to, that Star Citizen need to be, because it allows the players to have that power to choose.
Okay. So I'm going to say this. You decide when I go into a new system, right? You know me from another system. You know exactly what I stand for. I stand for peace. And you decide to open up on me because you want that area. Right? Am I clear?
Ooh. Getting stern.
Mhm.
Okay. So, what you're saying is you would start a conflict in another area, right? You would start a conflict in another area, even though you know that we are in a coalition in something else.
I was generalizing.
But I'm just
I
trying
wasn't talking
to.
about anything personal.
No,
I was generalizing.
but
I was gonna
it's
say,
not-
I hope he's not
it's
taking it
not-
personal.
It's
Yeah, I
not
hope you're not
personal.
taking it personal.
It's not personal. But this is happened in real life
Well,
where people have done things in a certain area.
if you are a part of a faction but I'm in a different faction, and your faction just so happened to be the enemy to my faction, and they decide to go to war with your faction, I'm going.
Let me say this, all right? People think that friendships are going to be are ruined from Uno, all right? Wait until rep is a thing with orgs in fucking Star Citizen, okay? This is going to ruin friendships because your friend, everybody has the friend that wants to go out and, fuck shit up, right? But maybe you don't want to do that, but you are best friends with him. But there's going to be come a time where he's going to be like, "Hey, I'm going to fuck you up." And you're going to be like, "You better not." And that, you're like, if you do this, we can't work with you. Like, you're going to set those boundaries, right? Or you're going to try to set those boundaries. And if your friend keeps pushing, you're going to be like, dude, like, this is going to be some real consequences in game, But that should be fun.
That to be fun.
That should be fun.
But this is
I
what
find
I'm
that to be
talking
fun,
about.
super fun.
This is what.
GTA level fun.
There you go. You just made the generalization.
Yep, it was just a generalization, man. I don't know.
We're talking about the general topic as a whole.
Yes.
It is absolutely a generalization because we're talking about a concept for a game that's being built right now.
Right, exactly. Speculation. I don't know how the faction system is gonna work.
But all
I
I'm
like
saying,
that choice, that freedom of choice that people.
everybody has the freedom of choice to do whatever they want. But if I make an alliance with you,
we will both be in the same faction.
In an area, okay?
Yeah.
There is a peaceful resolution in the next area to be negotiated.
Yeah. Not if you are aligned with a different faction than mine.
But that is where you just said it. If you're aligned with a faction that I don't agree with, okay?
Yeah.
Then that's where we have our differences in the area that we are in, not in the past. So there is a difference.
Yeah, I follow. Yeah.
clear, plain and simple. Okay? So that should not go back into the other area unless a person reneges on that area that we've been in before.
What area?
I would like to offer the Free People of the Versus services as a mediation aboard the FPV Serenity Valley, the brand
All
new
I'm
ship.
we are
Bushman
just
ship, if you need it.
we're throwing out a scenario here. But all I'm saying is, if you make an alliance with a person that is in Stanton, right? You go to another area, you make an alliance with a group, and one person makes another alliance with another group, okay? It rolls back. Things roll back. And then
Yeah.
you become adversaries in the area that you were in before because of what consequences you create in the next.
So we agree.
Yeah, we agree.
And I'm
to use
just
your
saying,
phrase, it rolls
I
back.
am
That's
putting,
It's not
I am
personal. I'm talking about I
it's
want
not
there to be a
about
game
personal.
mechanic in the Star Citizen.
It
I
is
want
not
there to be a
personal.
game
It's
mechanic
not
in Star
personal.
Citizen.
I'm just stating facts here.
Okay.
This
Okay.
is what
Fair
it's
enough.
about. So you have stated here, right now, that this is what could happen.
Mm-hmm. I
And
will
everybody,
like that to be
and everybody that goes into that situation, okay,
yes,
can go into that situation with eyes wide open and necks
So can I?
turning.
But that
So can
don't
I ask you a
stop me
question?
from
Shut
being
up.
your friend. That don't
Go.
stop me from being
Hang on,
his
hang
friend.
on, hang on, hang on, hang on.
I'm not
Hang on, hang on.
stopping from being
Can I?
anybody's friend.
Can
This
I
is
ask a quick
what.
question?
What's up, Zook? Yeah, go ahead and ask your question.
So I wanna ask you a question.
Yeah.
If I have good reputation with UE, and if I have good reputation with Ninetales, because my group has worked our rear end off to build both, and if we're in Pyro, would you come fill my ship?
Would I come what?
Would you come fuel my ship if I make a call?
If you're doing something that is legal in that area and I'm aligned with the lawful area.
I'm not asking you to participate in it. I'm saying if I'm on good standings with UEE and I'm on good standings with Ninetales, because I'm trading with everybody or whatever it is, and I call for a refuel in Pyro, would you come fuel me up? Because the AIs won't do it.
Because, look, I'm going to say this now.
Okay.
I do not hold anybody's things against them. And if you're my friend, I do what I have to do. And I will take care of you and then I will move on. What you do outside of what we have agreed upon is your business.
Fair enough.
Business is
Period.
business.
Period.
Business
For
booming.
For people,
So-
when it's business, there is
let me
nothing else
finish.
that matters.
Let me finish. Now, when it's Stanton, you have free reign and I will take care of you. If you are in Pyro and you have an alliance with me in Stanton, it goes to Pyro. That's how I work. And I will always be like that. Okay? I want it clear now, period. That's not how I work. I will not back down on a friend because we made an agreement and I will shake hands on it. I will do whatever needs to be done. I will sign a contract. I don't play that shit. But I will not let you destroy an area, say, that has less technology. I will not do that.
Okay.
You will get the wrath because that is wrong. Let them evolve. Let them create. Let them build. Do not destroy. I'm not like that. I've never been that. And when I was a Starfleet officer, I did whatever it took to protect.
I'm with you on that one, man. I'm with you on that one.
I will do whatever I had to do to protect a race that was lesser. Okay?
There
So
there are laws and lore that protect against that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here now I will state that I will not let any faction go against a lesser technology created race. I see it. I will open up on you and I will destroy you. I don't play like that because it is not right. It is genocide and it's wrong.
Fair enough. Fair enough, Shadow.
I'm
hey,
done.
I don't know how we got that far into left field, but I mean, hey, that's fine. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's nothing wrong with
Shadow?
that. That's fine.
Shadow, can I just bump?
Shoot.
Oh.
I said Shadow, not you. Go
God
away.
damn it, whole armor.
I'm sorry. Overzealous. Shadow.
Shadow's leaving him hanging.
No, I'm here.
He's leaving him hanging.
I was trying to do a fist bump.
I don't know what you're talking about. Here, this,
Boom.
right, left. What the fuck?
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on. So that's holy shit. We were on that for so long. That was a good topic, though. That would very good topic. These are all great topics to talk about. We could talk forever about this. This group of people right here, we all love to sit here and talk. So this is a formula for destruction. But
Joe, this is what Star Citizen is, and we are in the infancy.
Player choices, yeah, it's the
yeah.
And Star Citizen is going to be, if it achieves what it's trying to be, it is going to be the first game to really have that, true player choice, because there's other games that, they try to sell that, you got player choice, but it never really has been, maybe Eve, right? Maybe Eve has that choice.
Well, Eve, but I'm going to say to me, and when I played it, you have your choice. You do what you want, but your consequences make a major difference on what happens. And Star Citizen is coming at.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take time, but when we go to new systems, this is where the exploration comes in. And if you decide to go and conquer something, be prepared that people will try to take it from you.
Yeah.
And they will. I mean, I'm not saying they will do it, but they will make it to the point.
You have to go to war, period. You better have the backing to do it.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and move on. So we talked about, I think, the more interesting parts of the SCL, and we've already been going for about almost 3 hours now. So let's move on to some of the leaks.
Crap. I got to pee. Go ahead.
Oh Lord. Okay. All right. He got so into that he forgot he needed to pee. He's like, shit. Okay, anyways. So we're gonna talk about some of these leaks here. Okay. So CIG has not come out with dates officially, but the leaked Invictus dates, for anybody that doesn't know, is May 19th through the 30th. Now there's been some a bunch of ships that have been kind of leaked. There's a ground vehicle and supposedly like what they found was there was an empty hollow viewer for Aegis, and so the theory is that there's a new concept ship for Aegis. And there's no other information on that. There is 2 new ships from Misk. That's the Fury and then the Fury Miru. So probably a variant.
I call data running.
The data running, okay. Wow.
That's my prediction. That's my prediction.
So the info that we got for the Misk Fury is that according to the size that they have, the size of the expo pad that they have for the ship, it's indicative of like a small fighter. It's a very small ship. And then coupled with the exit and enter animation stuff that they have for it, there's so like from what I read is that vehicles like the Avenger, right, where you actually have to like walk in there, there are 3 sets of animations for exit and enter. When it comes to the Misk Fury, there's only 2. So they think that it's going to be a ship that doesn't have an interior. So you're going to have to climb in through the cockpit. I mean, none of this is all just speculation, though.
Do you mind if I explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, go ahead.
Joe?
Yeah.
So basically, with the Titan, the 3 automations the animations they spoke of was exit 0G, which the canopy opens and you hop out into 0G, and then you exit to the back behind the ship, right? So that ship has 3 exit animations from the cockpit.
Right.
Well, the Miss Fury only has 2, exit and exit to 0G. So we know that there's no exit to behind the scene. There is within a possibility that the canopy doesn't open, and there's just one exit to behind. But at the same time, we don't have an animation for a door. We don't have animation for anything like that. Plus, the biggest thing is the path that they're supposed to go on is indicative of a very small ship.
Mm-hmm.
And ships that have a canopy, the exit to the rear, rarely only have one entrance. The only exception to that rule that I can think of, the only ships that have that setup are small fighters with no rear hatch. Even small fighters that have a big opening in the back, at least still have that 0G opening. So based on the size of it, based on the animations that we are finding in the code, we are fairly certain it's a single seat, not multi-seat, single seat small fighter. And there's no other animations for any other seat in the vehicle. So
thanks for clarifying that, because I don't know too much about any of that either, so that's good. I was going off of what I read, so yeah. And then there's the whole translation for the Miro, which it's a Japanese company, so it makes sense that it would be in Japanese. And there's like 3 or 4 different ways or meanings that are essentially the same thing but go about it differently. So I didn't think about the whole data running thing. That is possible. That sounds like something that could be a thing. I'm pretty excited to find out what it is. On top of that, do you guys have any idea of what you would like for like an Aegis ship, for like the concept?
It's a hollow cube. We have no idea.
Good
Yeah.
question.
I want an
Aegis.
Aegis bike.
But like considering what we have from Aegis right now, right, which is mostly like military stuff, is there anything that you guys could think of that you would want from them that they didn't really cover?
And Aegis, they have a reclaimer. It was built by Aegis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I would like to see a industrial ship from Aegis that is going to be able to do more than just pick up salvage. A refinery ship.
There's a lot of gaps that a lot of these manufacturers have to fill. You know.
Just my thought.
Yeah.
So keep in mind that this is maybe indicative, but doesn't guarantee it. For example, there's been hollow viewers in the past that were empty, and that because they just hadn't decided what ship they wanted to put into.
Oh,
it.
absolutely. Yeah. That's why there's no like nobody's really talking about it because it might not be anything. That's the reason why I didn't bring it up in my video on my channel because I didn't see that there was enough evidence to suggest that there is going to be a new Aegis ship. So there might not be at all.
Yeah. It's just an interesting that this one is assigned to Aegis, but they didn't put a ship into it.
Yeah. There's the Tumbrel Storm. So what do you guys think that might be? So I've heard possible like artillery. That kind of thing. Like what do you guys think the storm name would allude
I would
to?
love there to be a tumbler with an enclosed canopy.
That would Zook.
4 seats.
I would love to see an enclosed tumbrel vehicle because of the
That
fact
you would drive in a storm.
well, not only to be able to have oxygen inside the cabin. And this is where Tumbrel has an issue. Okay, we did a race over the weekend. Okay, and the Tumbrel RC won, but they had to stop and do a replenishment of oxygen and things of that nature, where the vehicle that I was driving, the Ursa Rover, had an enclosed environment.
Mm-hmm.
So a vehicle that has that capability would be great.
What do you think the storm would allude to though? What do you think the capabilities of
The
an
storm,
enclosed Tumbrel
it
would
sounds
be?
like the storm sounds like a military attack vehicle.
Well,
because of the
considering it's
name.
Invictus, it probably, without a doubt, is military somehow.
Yeah. I just think that it needs to have more than just weaponry. It needs an enclosed area. And I think
What about like
that
e-warfare
uh
or like Storm or something?
you know what? You know what? Storm could be an EMP, any wipeout, stuff
yeah.
like that. That makes sense. I'm going to say this. I don't like the Antares because the Scorpius, I love the name of the Scorpius, but the Antares variant, the name is wrong. Just my thought. Because Storm, to me, it's kamikaze, the divine wind. And it does a certain thing. And Storm means either stoppage or enclosure to destroy.
Okay.
My thought.
We already have Cyclone for data running, or at least for some level of data running, recon. We already have storms for missiles. We already have storms for physical guns, for just shooting PP guns, and we have a cyclone that already mixes missiles and the shooting it all at one time.
Agreed.
The only thing that we're hardcore. Oh, we also have a cyclone that can carry SCU box.
It
Right.
might be bigger than a cyclone. You know, it might be as big as why can't I think of the name of it?
Actually,
like maybe as
no,
big
you're
as like
right.
a
It's not
ballista
good
or
point.
something. You know, maybe it's like
not
a really
Tumblr. It's not Tumblr Cyclone something. It's a
I think it might be bigger somehow. Maybe.
interesting.
It could be.
It doesn't have to be a
Because
cyclone.
there,
Right.
so with each role that you can have to like a vehicle or ship, right? There's like small, medium, and large, and the role would have to be filled within each, right?
So
So you can have multiple vehicles that do the same thing, but in different capabilities as the size goes up or down.
well, you've
Well,
got
your
your
first original question was
Go.
what do you think the Tumbril Storm is?
Yeah.
Now, I'm hoping if I can get a chance to have to say here.
Absolutely, man. Get in here. Get in
Hey,
here. Get in here.
say
I
it.
want to go back to the Aegis concept ship. Now, I would like Aegis to have a designated exploration ship,
Okay.
like
Okay.
some form of it was used for the military, but decommissioned and repurposed for like a exploration science vessel. Right.
I don't know if Aegis would sponsor. Like, I don't think they would sign off on that.
Okay,
That seems
would
almost like an
something.
aftermarket thing that would happen.
Yeah,
You know?
a lot of their ships are decommissioned. So,
Oh, is it
but,
really?
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they decommission and sold to civilians.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the Carrick was a prime ship, and then
Oh,
It
I
was-
forgot about the Carrick.
it was decommissioned, and they took the older ships and sold them to the civilians. And that's why when you go into the Carrick now, you see sparks coming out of the roof.
I totally forgot about the Carrick. Never mind about the exploration thing. Yeah.
So this is something that I made a mistake in my assumptions. Every single one of the Tumblr cyclones are a Tumblr cyclone TR, RC, RN, some mixture of it. So this is
Yeah.
definitely not a cyclone, right?
Right.
So we know that is a mistake that I made. We have the Tumblr Nova, which is a tank, and we have the Tumblr Rangers, which are bikes. So the only thing that I can think of right now, just looking at the list, that is just straight up missing, is basically like a Tumblr personnel carrier, and I can see like an APC.
Bring in the storm to
Yeah,
the
like,
front
you know,
lines, actually
Yeah,
bringing
exactly.
the people, the soldiers in. That could be that's actually makes a lot of sense. That could go with it.
And that's sort of like Tumblr's brand is all ground completely, and that would make sense with personnel carrying and all that kind of fun stuff. That would make sense because then you could have
some form
different
of
storm
competition
variants,
to the Ursa
very
variant.
similar to how the Ballista, the Spark, the Anvil platform, the Anvil
Yeah,
Spark,
yeah.
The
platform.
Atlas.
The Atlas
Yeah.
platform. Yeah.
the Atlas platform. Thank you.
Yeah, like the
hull armor.
Ursa rover, but they need to make another vehicle around the size of the Ursa rover where it can take transport multiple.
Well, okay.
Replace the rovers over there in fucking Klesher, please. Because it's little fucking.
I've stated this before. An Ursa rover needs a medical variant. because of the fact you're going to a bunker. Okay, it still has the capabilities to defend itself, but it's there for rescue. And this is where this is a needed vehicle in the game, besides the C8R. The C8R can get shot down. Okay? You've got a ground vehicle that can do the same things as the C8R. This is where the Ursa medical variant comes in. But we'll see if they do it.
And a Ursa Rover medical vehicle can roll over a landmine.
You damn right. So would they do it? I'm going to say it right here, right now. If they drop that vehicle and it's a medical variant, sold.
I was gonna say something that you'd be able to do is put this in the back of something, a ship, right? Fly right above atmosphere and just drop that medical vehicle to the ground.
Yes.
And it'd be perfectly fine, you know? And that way you wouldn't need to fly down and they get the help they need.
And I'm going to say this. This is where parachutes come in, damn it.
Somebody asked about that during the CON42 the other day, and CIG was just like, no comment. So I don't think there's plans anytime soon for that. But they said it's on their radar somehow, but they know about it.
But, I mean, dropping an Ursa, right, with a parachute to slow the descent and then deploy.
Depends on gravity, too, of that specific planet or moon.
Of course. But that would be a vehicle that I would pick up in a minute.
Oh, absolutely. I think it'd be very popular. Anything medical would be very popular. All right, so the last ship to talk about, I don't really know how to say it. I don't think anybody really knows how to say it. Maybe Zook, you might know it. If it's alien, it sounds alien. Sulian. Sulian. It's so people have speculated that it's probably like a GN ship associated with Gattac or another company manufacturer for GN.
Be right back.
Okay. The last part of the name Len is, you know, because Gattac has the Raylan, so it's very similar in name. And what it means is the Su means fly and Len means without issue. So it makes perfect sense that it would be GN because it actually means something in that language. So it's gonna be interesting. The name meaning fly without issue is probably very well defended, and it being showcased at Invictus, it probably has some guns. So either that or it's got some heavy shields.
I don't know. I think it's a racer.
Really? A racer?
I think it'll be a racer.
Why would they debut a racer at Invictus?
Well,
Racer?
Well, the M50 did. The M50 did.
Did it
It's
really?
also considered
at Invictus?
You know, the M50 is considered a military ship. It's an enforcer
that can fight.
Being a racer.
Yeah, the M50 can fight.
Yeah, he can fight. So it's like a really light fighter racer that also has some guns on it that it can be used for a similar role, just an alien version of it potentially.
Possible.
We'll see. Yeah, that's an interesting take on it. What do you think, Whole Armor?
I really don't know. I don't really follow the Xi'an based ships. So
is there anything from like the alien ships? Is there any sort of roles that you want to see filled? Like what would get you to buy a GN ship, like a Gattac ship?
If they had like a cargo ship, medium class ship.
Okay, I think the Raylan that's a larger ship.
Yeah, that's the Raylan.
Yeah, but like a medium or small cargo alien ship.
Yeah, like something competitive to the C1A1, colors black, freelancer, that type of thing. Being that the freelancer and the Xi'an, they share technology
Mm-hmm.
in the freelancer ships.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, the freelancer is supposed to have Xi'an technology with them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. A lot of those technologies have been shared throughout a lot of different manufacturers and the different ships, and it's sprinkled with little bits and bobs there. Yeah. Like the Consolidated Outlands, the I don't know why I can't think of the name now. The pickup truck,
Nomad.
the Nomad, that borrows heavily on alien tech.
Yeah.
All right, what are your thoughts, Shadow? What would you like to see from the Sulin?
Lynn without issues. A life without issues. I think if we go with that, it could be an alien ship with the regen technology.
With the what?
Regen technology.
So like
regeneration.
a medical ship?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I got on that.
Okay.
With the way it sounds, that's life. So, just my thought.
Okay.
A
Yeah.
reference. Can I kind of compare it to the Raylan for real quick? The Raylan literally means / peaceful cargo. So, but essentially cargo without issue.
Yeah.
So basically, that's kind of the idea behind it. In theory, that could be like flying that issue, aka a really good flyer or a racer, or it could just be somebody who's expecting to fly without any interruption. So it could be an explorer ship.
Could be.
It could. It's a very broad
It is.
translation. So it could work with so many different things. So yeah, that'll be interesting too. So I think Invictus is going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot to pay attention to. So a lot of money flying around in that event. I think these are going to be. I think the majority of these are going to be pretty good. So
Next question.
well, that is actually it. So we've gone past 3 hours now. We're gonna go ahead, and if you guys want anything else to add, chat. If you have any last minute questions, go ahead and enter them in, and we'll get to them. But Shadow, Zook, Whole Armor, if you guys got anything else that you want to add to anything that we talked about today, or if you got another thing you want to talk about, go for it. Shadow.
Whole Armor first.
Whole Armor?
Yep, he's the guest.
All right.
What do you mean you got nothing?
He said what he got to say.
My bad.
Zook.
I'm just waiting on my Aurora torpedo. All I'm asking is one torpedo at the bottom of an Aurora. Is that too much to ask? I don't think so.
What about the new size 5 bombs?
That's going to fit perfectly into the Spirit A1.
That will.
I'm looking forward to it. I have one.
Or Pisces R and a ground medical vehicle. Okay. Thoughts on a bed that stabilized patient. Well, that's in your C8R at the moment because it's just a tier 3. But if they decide to go with a larger medical vehicle that will do more health, I would like to see the Ursa rover have a tier 2, but not where it has a respawn, because that wouldn't make sense. It it would
So you said it also
that
heals, but no healing. So when you lay on it, it does absolutely nothing other than keep you from dying.
mm-hmm,
Because that yeah, like an ambulance where yeah they're giving you drugs, you know, filling you with those good drugs. But you know you can still be in critical condition. You can still die on the way to the hospital.
right.
Yeah,
Um,
it would make sense to have something like that. You know,
mhm.
it definitely would. I can heal to
Um,
stabilize, but greater injuries need a better med center. So yeah,
yeah.
I agree with that.
But hold on, you're the guest. What else you got?
He's- I think he's good. I think he's good.
GTA,
So,
right? GTA.
all right. So,
GTA Citizen.
Fix the constellation. Do the rework on the constellation.
Yeah.
That and the freelancer. Freelancer needs a rework as well.
you could probably say most ships need a rework.
Well, if I wanted to get technical and general, every ship needs a rework. Okay.
All right.
Um,
So, I think that's about it, everybody. There's no more
I
questions on
just
my end.
I just want to throw out a last thought.
Go for it.
382. Everybody's been in there. It is it it was good. Um, I don't think they should have threw Xenothreat out there so soon. Uh, I would like to have played 318-2 without the event right away.
They should have let people
And
breathe and just have fun with the game. Let it work for a bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
um, but the first night of Xenothreat was awesome. It was good. As the servers degraded over time, it does have its issues now. So don't take it as a very, very bad implementation of an event that is very, very popular. Um, it to me, I don't think they should hold it for 2 weeks.
No,
They're
I completely agree.
they're
That's a bit
holding
much. It's
yeah,
overkill.
they're holding it till the second. And this is a bad I hate to say a bad decision by CIG because CIG does things for a purpose. But this is their way of finding out what we're going to deal with PES. And let's find it out now before we go into 319. And 319 is nothing but a extension of 318. They're just numbering it different. And once they turn that event off, you will see probably a major change in what's out there. So I know it sucks. I know everybody wants to have a playable platform, but let's do what we got to do, get through it, and move on to the next. And then when 319 drops, hopefully, fingers crossed, it's going to be more stable because we're going to go through another free fly when that event drops. So let's be prepared. Hold your expectations low. Don't get them too high. And let's just move on. My thought.
All right. All right, and with that, I think that about wraps it up for the Snowbirds Meeting Room podcast. I appreciate everybody in the chat who stayed here and talked with us, asked questions, and made us kind of giggle a little bit. And
Ew, hell, we was laughing our asses off.
thanks, Whole Armor, for finally coming on as a guest.
Oh yeah, no problem. This is definitely fun. I would love to be able to do this again.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely welcome back. We all end up talking for hours whenever we're not on the podcast. So yeah, we definitely like to talk. Yeah, thanks again, everybody. So we'll see you next Monday when we will be going over the the ISC, Inside Star Citizen, on Thursday. It finally comes back for anybody that didn't know. So we'll be going over that, which is probably isn't actually going to be much to talk about because it is on Loreville again. So it's probably just going to be pretty visuals and not much to talk about. I can't imagine there's anything new. But yeah, that'll be it. We'll see you guys Monday. So you guys take care and have a good night.
Take care, everybody.